Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday morning live stream for Week 13 of the 2025 fantasy football season. First and foremost, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone here in the chat, and of course, for those of you who will eventually log in here in just a couple moments, happy Thanksgiving. Again, we are very much so thankful to have an incredible day of football ahead with some great matchups, hopefully some high-scoring games, and hopefully games that can help us get one step closer to getting to the fantasy playoffs and winning a 2025 fantasy football championship. As you guys know, our typical live streams on Sunday mornings have a very similar vibe, in which we have rankings on screen right here, up to date, in order to kind of get you guys all in the right position in regards to specifically setting your lineups. We have interpositional rankings for the top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, and top 12 kickers and defenses. I know as of this week, we didn't put out a video in regards to quarterbacks and tight ends, as of course, there are 3 games today and a game tomorrow. So of course, I wanted to go ahead and get ahead of that in regards to just sharing this, the overall rankings on screen right now. So for those of you who have any questions regarding either the quarterback, tight end, defense, kicker positions, they can be addressed accordingly. But again, it's relatively early in the week. There's still a lot of time between now and this upcoming Sunday slate of games for players like a Bucky Irving and Omarion Hampton, Brian Thomas Jr. and their statuses to be effectively changed as we go forward. But I hope you guys are doing well. We're going to get into answering questions in just a moment. Do not forget, whether you do send in a question via the live chat or potentially send it in via super chat to claim priority, make sure you include your scoring format. The more context you provide, the easier it'll be for not only myself to answer said questions, but of course other members of the community. For those of you guys who are members of the Patreon, these rankings have already been posted as of earlier this morning for both half and full PPR in all positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, defense, and flex. So for those of you who are interested in wanting to get my all-encompassing rankings, you can find that down in the description. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's get into talking about all things. Again, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Let's get into talking about some fantasy football questions. Again, I have yet to sleep today. That's how long it has taken to rack together some of these rankings, but it's all for the love of the game, and that's why we do this. Okay, let's get into this real quick. I'm going to pop up the YouTube chat as a right there, and we'll begin. The first question of this morning from Pryor, who says, happy Turkey Day, Andrew. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Says, I've got a W last week, locked in my playoff spot. Now playing my wife this week, Tetaroa or Troy Franklin, Trey Benson or Aaron Jones, 14-team PPR. Okay, so here's my current thought process. I think the Troy Franklin versus Tetaroa situation, in my mind, leans me in the direction of going Troy Franklin. Again, like I mentioned earlier this week, as in yesterday, Troy Franklin clearing away 9 targets per game over the course of the last 5 games. I understand that Tetaroa McMillan has shown a couple splash performances of being able to put up a huge number, but ultimately in terms of the consistency of play and in a full PPR on a weekly basis, guaranteed getting me 10 fantasy points, Troy Franklin has just always been present in that category comparatively to Tetaroa McMillan, who has a lot of volatility and has an incredibly difficult matchup considering Bryce Young will be having to find his way to stay healthy in that pocket against that Rams pass rush. So I'm going to lean in the direction of Troy Franklin in that circumstance. As for your follow-up question in regards to running backs, Aaron Jones or Trey Benson, this is still a situation that is ongoing, and we're not 100% certain of the status of Trey Benson. I know that as of Wednesday, he did practice in a limited participation factor, but in the event in which we do have an opportunity of getting to Sunday, if Trey Benson has a full practice participation by at least Friday, I'd feel more comfortable rolling with Trey Benson rather than Aaron Jones with a third-string quarterback against the Seattle Seahawks, who are one of the, if not the best run-stop defense in the league. So I would prefer to play Trey Benson in the event in which he's inactive, because again, they're continuing to just ramp him up slowly but surely coming off of the knee injury and the IR stint. Then of course the decision will be made for you in the form of Aaron Jones. But yeah, Trey Benson, excuse me. Those are the 2 that I prefer. Thank you. All right, C-Dub sends in the next question. Says 3 questions. Franklin or Judkins PPR? Let me go ahead and pull up my rankings right now and let you know right now. I'm going to probably lean in the direction of playing Franklin there against the against the Washington Commanders, it just seems like it's a far too advantageous position. Yeah, as of right now, between the two of those options, I will have Troy Franklin as the number one in a full PPR scoring format, just in which I just mentioned earlier to prior. When we're talking about someone like Troy Franklin being as consistent in terms of the target opportunity category and also within the red zone for this offense, there's a reason why he has scored 12 plus fantasy points in 4 of the last 5 games. He's been far more consistent, and I think the matchup against the 49ers could be a messy one for Judkins if Shedeur Sanders isn't able to find himself much success there. Now, as for your next question, Gadsden or Ferguson, both full PPR and half PPR, 2 leagues. Okay, so if we look in the direction of the potential of those 2 tight ends in a half and full PPR. In a half PPR on screen, I have Jake Ferguson as my number 7 tight end and Oronde Gadsden as my number 8. In a full PPR, they are flipped. Gadsden is ahead of Ferguson. And so it just purely depends on format, but ultimately they're just back-to-back either way. Just ever so slightly in the favor of Gadsden in a full PPR, as I do anticipate and project them to have a higher reception count. And with touchdowns being very difficult to predict, that's what kind of jumps them ahead of Fergie within that overall conversation. And then for the final question here, it says pick 1.5 PPR, Rome Odunze, Kamani Vidal, if no Hampton, or Tracy. In a half PPR scoring format, I would probably lean in the direction of playing Kamani Vidal, taking on the Raiders. In the event in which there is no Hampton, which I doubt to be the case, if that was to in fact occur, then I would play Kamani Vidal. But as of right now, under the assumption that Hampton does play in a capacity which, whether it is limited and or in the mix, Odunze and Tracy would then lead me to, let me just see, as a contingency, just in case. Between the two of Tracy and Odunze, at that point, I would just pivot to playing Tracy. Now, again, we're still keeping the secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles monitored. If, in fact, 3 of their starting secondary members, both the starting safeties and one of their starting cornerbacks, Adoree Jackson, are going to be out, then at that point, we may elevate the overall look of Odunze, but that's purely dependent on the injury status of those 3 secondary starters for the Eagles, who, of course, went down in this most recent game, which provided Pickens and Lamb all that upside. So just very much so dependent. If they're out, Odunze starts. Otherwise, we roll with Tracy in the event that Vidal has Hampton playing this week. Thank you, C-Dub. JV, what's up? JV says, happy Thanksgiving. I need a flex 2 out of Gainwell, Franklin, Sutton, Ferguson, Marks, Goddard, Hampton. I swear I've never seen so many questions regarding Troy Franklin in a row. It almost seems scripted, but nonetheless, it says Parker Washington is on waivers also. Man, Parker Washington, I think, is a fantastic play. But in regards to the available options you have, I think you could very easily just start Troy Franklin and Woody Marks and find success. In the case in which you're playing, I'm trying to see here. It says 2 flex. Nothing about a scoring format as of right now. Let's see if you were theoretically playing in a full PPR. Yeah, okay, so this is where I currently have it. In the event in which you're playing in a full PPR, and we do have an opportunity in which you could go pick up Parker Washington, I would actually try to explore that possibility. I'd probably drop Goddard, I pick up Parker Washington, and I play both Franklin and Washington again alongside of one another. But that is under the assumption that it's a full PPR. If it's a half PPR at that point, I can just stick with Franklin and Woody Marks, and or if in the event we get an opportunity in which Hampton is active, full participation of practice by Friday, I can very easily convince myself to play Hampton alongside of Troy Franklin there as a 1-2 combo in a half PPR. If it's a standard league, just play Woody Marks and Hampton. Otherwise, potentially Woody Marks and Franklin still works there in the standard, considering the touchdown upside. Thank you, JB. I appreciate it. Again, a lot of contingency factors, considering it's still only Thursday of week 13. Thank you. All right, continuing on. We had a question from Pipe Down, who says the following. Thank you very much, Pipe Down. Says Goff or Brissett. Clear and away going to play Brissett there. It's not even really close. He's been far too good for fantasy purposes. 18 plus fantasy points on a 6-game basis here consecutively. As long as he continues to play at this level, now that he gets Marvin Harrison Jr. back and they have an opportunity of taking on Tampa Bay's secondary, who are allowing the most fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers since week 5, it seems like it's a perfect opportunity for Jacoby Brissett to even have a better game in comparison to where I have him ranked, which again is very favorable in comparison to Goff. It's not that Goff is not going to play well today. He certainly will, but comparatively, Jacoby Brissett's just far more in line with an upside performance, considering Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery will always impact Goff in a negative negative manner in regards to the touchdowns near the red zone. And, of course, some of those breakout runs. As for your next question, PPR start two between Justin Jefferson, Parker Washington, Jerry Jeudy, and Charbonnet. Jerry Jeudy's unstartable. I mean, that's just an objective truth over the course of the season that we have found. Charbonnet is a solid play, but in a full PPR, I'd much rather play Jefferson and Parker Washington. I feel like their floor of potential, additionally on top of that, their upside of production is that much safer in comparison to playing Sharp. I know that you said that you're already starting Kenneth Walker already, but I do feel like what Parker Washington and Justin Jefferson can theoretically provide are safe enough in terms of floor and high enough in terms of ceiling to justify not rolling both Seattle running backs. So I would suggest going JJ and PW in this situation. Thank you very much. Knee Jerk sends in a question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It says in a full PPR, we've got Walker, Tracy, or Jones. In this circumstance, let me go ahead and pull it. I think I do have Parker. I think I do have Walker or Tracy at the top of this conversation, but let me confirm. Kenneth Walker is there. Tyrone Tracy's right behind him, and then Aaron Jones is a little bit further down. So yeah, as of right now, between those available, Kenneth Walker will be number 1, Tyrone Tracy will be 2, Aaron Jones will be 3. So I would try to play Kenneth Walker in this circumstance, taking on Tennessee this week. Now, as for your next question, McConkey or Sutton in a half PPR, absolutely 10 times out of 10, I'm going to play McConkey there. Again, I don't think the overall opportunity share which Sutton has been given over the course of the last 5 games is going to give me much confidence, even though I do identify it as an advantageous matchup taking on Washington. I do believe that there is effectively just as good, if a better potential matchup for the sake of McConkey this week against the Raiders. So first question, Walker. Second question, McConkey. Moving on to the third, we have DK Franklin in the flex. At this point, if this is like context to this question, understood. If this is a different, okay, let's see. DK Franklin flex, Johnston, Dortch, Pearsall bench, swap. Okay, so this is a completely different question. I would feel pretty decently comfortable looking in the direction of playing Johnston ahead of DK in this circumstance. In the event in which we do have an opportunity in which Calvin Ridley and Alec Iomanner are out for another consecutive game, there could be a conversation made in regards to the potential of Shamir DK, considering, again, the special teams factors. But even still then, I think Quentin Johnston and Franklin are going to be higher ranked for me going into this week. Schultz or Ertz, I prefer Dalton Schultz, especially regardless of whether it ends up with the quarterback situation. The fact that they're taking on the Colts is an incredibly advantageous matchup for tight ends. They're allowing top 5 fantasy points per game since week 5. And or drop Taylor, Fannin, Johnson. No, I'm not interested in any of that. You're good. Thank you. All right, continuing on. We have the next question coming in from Marty, 8819, who says full PPR, bench 1, Genty, Javonte, AJ Brown, or Ibuka. So as of right now, we know for sure that you should probably play Javonte Williams today, because I think as we get closer to this upcoming Sunday, we'll get a clearer picture as to the potential of Ibuka and whether or not Baker Mayfield will be out there. So considering the overall situation that is sitting as is, I don't know if I'd feel, that I need to play Ibuka with Teddy Bridgewater out there. I can identify that there could be an opportunity for him to still play well. But as of right now, I'm looking to try to play Genty, Javonte, and A.J. Brown, assuming Mayfield is out. If, in fact, that is the case, then, of course, you'll go in that direction. But it starts today and tomorrow playing Javonte against the Chiefs and AJ versus the Bears. And then once we get to this upcoming Sunday, identifying whether we should stick with Ibuka based on Mayfield's status or pivot to the direction of Genty, which at this point, I think we just stick with all 3 of these players regardless, as I think they have a pretty solid floor and also high upside potential. So Genty, Javonte, and AJ are my suggestions. Thank you. Moving on to the next question, comes in from Eric Sanchez. Eric, thank you. Says in a half PPR, started running back in a flex between Henderson, Irving, Rico, Javonte, and we have Ibuka and Sutton. Okay, so in a half PPR scoring format, I'm going to lean towards playing both running backs here in the form of Travion Henderson and Javonte Williams. Those are, in my opinion, the 2 most appropriate starts this week. Now, again, we're still waiting on the status of the left side of the offensive line for the Patriots, considering both of them are dealing with a knee and ankle injury. So, again, there's going to be a situation in which Henderson's left side of his offensive line may be out taking on the Giants, but again, because that's a Monday game, we don't have a current update considering they did not practice yesterday. So still waiting upon that. But I do believe, considering Irving's still up in the air, I know he did get himself, if I'm not mistaken, and I can confirm this once more, I believe he got a full participation of practice yesterday. So let me just confirm that. Bucky Irving, full participation of practice on Wednesday of this week. Very much so promising, looking like a week ahead in which he may end up getting himself a full workload share, but still very much so in the air as for his status. Don't want to make any assumptions. So for now, I'm leaning in the direction of Javonte and Hendo. Thank you, Eric. All right, moving on to the next question from Nicholas Tanner, GB, who says, Yoshivas or Keenan Allen half PPR? Let me see where I have them ranked comparatively one another. So Yoshivas and Keenan Allen in my half PPR rankings are currently back-to-back. Yoshivas 45, Keenan Allen 46. I think the overall diminishing role in which Keenan Allen has seen of late, specifically pre-bye week, to which, again, his overall opportunity share has effectively diminished because of it, makes him a little bit of a lesser option. I can identify that, again, Keenan Allen could very easily in any given week score a touchdown, be fantasy relevant, but that's what he's going to have to do to be fantasy relevant. Because ultimately, in terms of the overall usage of him of late, he's had, 5 targets in each, I guess technically 6 or fewer targets in the last 4 games. That has led to 4 or fewer receptions. And when he's catching the ball for about 10 yards per reception, he's only pretty much getting 4 catches, 40 yards every game. So unless he scores a touchdown, very much so in a bind in that circumstance, to which I prefer to play Yoshivas because I think there's a little bit more potential for upside there, specifically within the touchdown category, considering, again, T. Higgins' absence. All right, Kim sends in a question. Kim, thank you. Says in a 12-team full PPR, start Marvin Harrison if he plays, or Wilson. Also Strange or Loveland. Okay, so in the event in which Marvin Harrison Jr. can get himself a full practice participation by at very least Friday, I would have him in my lineup. Now, again, Michael Wilson has been on fire of late, but I would like to assume that Michael Wilson would take the secondary wide receiver role there, going henceforth, as of course the team and the organization knows that Marvin Harrison's a stud. If you give him that same volume of opportunity which Michael Wilson has had as of late, he would be just as successful, if not better. So I do believe that Marvin Harrison is in line for a huge role going forward, and I would play him assuming he gets a full participation of practice and is available for this week. As for your next question, also Bretton Strange or Colston Loveland. I don't really love the matchup for Loveland against the Eagles. I prefer Bretton Strange specifically against the Titans in this circumstance, so that's the direction I lean in. Thank you. Michael Susmith sends in a question. Says, Happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, who would your starting main course turkey or ham? Brother, listen, here's the thing. When it comes to Thanksgiving, when it comes to food in general, Andrew doesn't function on a turkey or ham. It's turkey and ham, brother. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, 13 weeks into the season, I think I've earned both. So, look, starting main course, if I have to start between one of the two, I'm starting with the turkey. Again, especially if it's, we're going to start with turkey because ham, it never misses. So we got to get to the turkey early. We got to determine what's going on, and then we can salvage the meal henceforth after that if the turkey doesn't deliver as it needs to. But again, very much so going to be in a situation where it's an and not or for me. Thank you very much. Okay, now, again, for those of you who are joining us this morning and have just joined us, happy Thanksgiving. Welcome. Again, today we have a wonderful schedule ahead in terms of the NFL and hopefully some exciting games ahead. We're answering questions. Whether you guys do type in a question in the live chat and or send in a super chat in order to claim priority, make sure you include your scoring format. Greatly appreciated, guys. Thank you. And again, thank you, Michael Susmith. Random Challenger sends in a question. It says Burrow, Stafford, or Darnold. Yeah, as of right now, if I'm playing one of these three, it's easily going to be Matthew Stafford. It has to be. The production at which he has put forth of late has been undeniable, and Matthew Stafford is a top-tier quarterback for no other reason than the fact that this guy is throwing 3 touchdowns in 6 of the last 8 games minimum. Sam Darnold, technically, yes, has an advantageous matchup. Burrow could be identified to be having, a potential breakout game here in his first game back, but ultimately I'm looking towards the consistency, the blowout potential, and the 10-point favorite aspect in which Stafford has taking on Carolina this week. So I'll lean towards Stafford there. Thank you. Chico 4105 sends in a question. Thank you very much, Chico. Says, I need one wide receiver and one flex. We've got Jefferson, Adunze, Parker Washington, Woody Marks, Xavier Worthy. Okay, so of those available options, as of this moment, regardless of scoring format, I'm pretty sure. Let me just see where I have Woody marks comparatively, and then I can just kind of position it from there. So where is Woody comparatively to like Rome? Yeah. Okay. So no matter what the scoring format is, I believe the way in which I would probably set my lineup is Justin Jefferson and Rome Odunze. I think that's probably the direction in which I go in. I think there is a conversation to be had in regards to playing Parker Washington there ahead of someone like Rome Odunze. If by Friday we get some sort of designation that BTJ is going to be out, I think there could be a conversation to which we roll Parker Washington there instead of him. Otherwise, I think Jefferson and Odunze are the number 1-2 options there this week. Also, Fannin, Schultz, or Strange, thanks. As of those available options, I do prefer Dalton Schultz. Again, his overall opportunity share of late has been a little bit too undeniable for us to look in any other direction. They take on the Colts that, again, are one of the top-tier matchups at the position in terms of fantasy points per game allowed since week 5. But again, this most recent week is a fluke production kind of week, primarily because they were taking on the Bills, who have been the best defense against the opposing tight end position thus far this season. Otherwise, we're talking about Dalton Schultz, who is coming off of, 7 of the last 8 games with 5 or more receptions, and was obviously on a pace to which he was continuing to get into the top tier, top 5 conversation of total tight end receptions this year. So that's the direction I'd go in. Thank you. Justice Fair, 5046, says Dak or Burrow. I prefer Dak Prescott in this circumstance. Again, when he's got such a complete offense that surrounds him, while we have Burrow coming back from injury in his first start with no T. Higgins, I think it does make Burrow a little bit of a lesser appealing option. Both of these defenses, again, whether it is Baltimore and or Kansas City, can find success. But I think with Dak Prescott at home, the comfortability which he has, the fact that this offense is coming off of 2 major wins here, trying to turn their season around, I think there could be a potential shootout here where Dak Prescott, of course, lights it up and also gets himself a little bit more involvement with his legs like he did last week. Says he has Chase, Breece, or Nico in a PPR. I feel like Breece Hall is the play in this circumstance. Let me just confirm where I have Breece comparatively to Nico Collins. Yeah, I have Breece Hall ahead of Nico Collins as of this week, taking on Atlanta. Again, that's been one of the best matchups at the running back position since week 5 at least. So the opportunity in which Breece Hall and this Jets offense can keep it close. I mean, they were winning 7-3 at halftime against the Baltimore Ravens this most recent week, which provided him opportunity share. If you provide him with very similar opportunity share this week, 20 touches, he'll do a lot more damage. So I'll go with Breece Hall there. And regardless of the fact that your opponent has Jamar Chase, I'm still sticking with Dak Prescott. I think it's a far safer potential for production and has just as much, if not more, upside effectively. Thank you. Michael Sue Smith sends in a follow-up, says, if Marvin Harrison is out, would Michael Wilson be top 10? Absolutely. Again, you got to remember, in the at least last week, in terms of my half and full PPR rankings, I had him in my top 12. So as long as Marvin Harrison is absent, Michael Wilson's guaranteed 12 to 18 targets, anything within that range, which against Tampa Bay, which again is the number 1 wide receiver matchup at the position, you would like to assume that he could very easily finish with anywhere between 9 to 12 receptions and over 120 receiving yards, which in a full PPR, we're talking about 24 fantasy points, which easily makes him even better than a top 10 option technically. But for safety purposes, 10 would be a pretty solid point for the given week. Thank you. Cyanide 7570 says, full PPR, double running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Okay, let's see what you have here, brother. Says Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, Bucky Irving, Cortland Sutton, and Emeka Ibuka. So Cortland Sutton is not really of much interest for me personally. I feel like there is a conversation to be had where Sutton could go off, but it will require this offense to really reevaluate post-bye week and try to get him more opportunity going forward, like last season in which he was getting a very healthy opportunity share. But ultimately, I think of your available options in this circumstance, Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, Bucky Irving, I'm going to have to play Ibuka at wide receiver. I'm going to have to play all 3 running backs there at the double RB flex positions. I don't see myself technically playing Cortland Sutton there unless Bucky Irving is held out this week. That would be it for me. Even in the event in which Teddy Bridgewater plays, I'm playing Ibuka over Sutton. Thank you. JT sends in a question. Thank you, JT. Says, start 1, Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving, Michael Wilson, half PPR. Again, I mean, at this point, if Bucky Irving is in fact active and ready to go this week. Gets a full participation of practice every day for the remainder of the week, in which he, of course, started with yesterday with a full participation. If we continue that, I'm very much so comfortable leaning in the direction of Bucky Irving over the field. I don't really have any interest in playing Sean Tucker unless I'm in a deep league. And Michael Wilson, the only time I'd ever consider playing him over Bucky is if, in fact, Marvin was out. Otherwise, Bucky Irving is a start in that circumstance. Thank you. Nels sends it a question. Says, Nel Santiago, happy holidays, bro. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you as well. Says, PPR, I need two between Mechie, Andrews, Moore, Benson, and Hampton. Okay, so here's the situation here. Benson and Hampton are still up in the air. I don't know their upcoming status. So because of the fact that we aren't aware of the status, and we'll get a better indication of that by probably tomorrow afternoon prior to, DJ Moore playing, hopefully, fingers crossed, I would try to play Benson and Hampton if potentially possible. But considering Mark Andrews plays today, I'm going to lean in the direction of suggesting we play Mark Andrews, because there's a possibility in which one, if not both of these running backs could end up missing this week. And I don't want to pass up on the opportunity of playing Mark Andrews against Cincinnati, who are allowing 23 fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends since week 5.5 PPR. Even more fantasy points contributions in a full. So Mark Andrews plays, and probably would play him alongside of somebody of the caliber of, I want to say, Trey Benson, assuming he's available. If by this upcoming Friday, prior to that DJ Moore game, we don't have any positive news, you could hold out and pivot to Mechie. Otherwise, just play DJ Moore there. Assuming, of course, there's a potential which the secondary members of the Eagles, both safeties and cornerback, could be out. That could apply a little bit more, I would say. I think it would convince me to potentially play more in the upcoming matchup. But as of right now, Mark Andrews and Benson should be the kind of look, with the potential which we would pivot Benson in the case in which he doesn't play to Hampton. Otherwise, playing more tomorrow if, in fact, we don't have any info. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Rafter sends it a question. It says, happy Turkey Day. In a 12-man non-PPR scoring format, we've got Trevor Lawrence and Washington, or Love and Watson. As of this moment, even though I feel like I have to play Trevor Lawrence and Parker Washington in this circumstance. Again, the consistency of play that we have seen from Jordan Love this season has just not been there in comparison to seasons past. He's kind of seen a lot of fluctuation. So as of this moment, in comparison, Trevor Lawrence, 2+ touchdowns in 5 of the last 7. Parker Washington, 12+ fantasy points in a half PPR in 3 of the last 4. In a non-PPR, obviously a little bit of a lesser option there, but I still feel like the contributions of which he'll get in terms of yardage, touchdown potential, etc., are just as likely as just as likely as a Christian Watson, to which I do prefer the quarterback play and the upside of which Trevor Lawrence provides, to where I'll go in that direction. Thank you. Suarez sends in a question. Suarez 6088 says, in a full PPR, 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex format, we've got the following players. And if K9 misses the game, would you take Charbonnet over any? I don't think he'll miss the game, but again, it's still very early in the week. As we've mentioned before, rankings are subject to change. But in regards to the upcoming matchup here, obviously I'm looking to play Lamar. In terms of the potential of running back, we're going to play Harvey as our RB1. In terms of wide receiver, I'd probably look to play Rome in this circumstance. If not Michael Wilson, we'll have to wait and see, I guess, depending on the status of Marvin Harrison here. Looking at, I'd even be willing to play Michael Wilson ahead of Rome Odunze just outright, even if Marvin Harrison's active, because just the pure volume of opportunity I would assume he could be exposed to in such an advantageous matchup. But Lamar, Harvey, let's say Michael Wilson for now, a wide receiver. And then when we're looking for a flex, it probably ends up being Bucky Irving if he's at a full capacity. In the event in which K9 was to miss this week, yes, I would play Charbonnet over everybody and probably play him in your flex. So then at that point would be Lamar, Harvey, Michael Wilson, and probably Charbonnet there in that circumstance. But I doubt that he misses. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Got a couple notifications. Okay, nothing crazy as of right now. Keeping it moving. We had Rock out. 5177 says 1 wide receiver, 2 flex. We have McLaurin, we have Higgins, we have DK, we have Parker, we have Mechie. So, of the available, I think McLaurin's status is still up in the air, so I don't know where to rank him as of yet. I don't really feel like I'd feel comfortable starting him outright in the first week and returning. Again, we've learned this season, players coming off of injury, the first week back, it's probably not a good idea to play them. So, in comparison to the alternative options, I'd like to play, Parker Washington and probably John Mechie. I think those are my two highest ranked. Let me confirm this based on where I have them ranked. Is it a full PPR question? Oh, you have three options here. Okay, great. So I'd play DK, Parker, and Mechie. Those are the three highest players at which I currently have them ranked as of this moment. Thank you. Rockout sends in a follow-up, says Marks or Dobbs. I would rather play Woody Marks against the Indianapolis Colts. Thank you. Jack sends in a question, says Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Gadsden, full PPR flex. Let me see where I have Gadsden comparatively to the field, and then I can let you know where I've Gadsden. Okay, here we go. So between the two availables, I do have Christian Watson ranked slightly higher. So I would play Christian Watson in that circumstance. Again, there is a little bit of a sketchiness that revolves around this offense for the Chargers. There's a lot of mouths to feed. As of right now, with Christian Watson being the primary funneled number one option of that offense, I feel a little bit more comfortable going there against the Lions today. So I'll take Christian Watson in that circumstance. But if you wanted to play Gadsden, I wouldn't mind it because, again, I have them relatively closely ranked. Their separation of ranking is, they're in the same tier within my full PPR ranks. So I could justify playing one over the other. Thank you. Anonymous sends in a question. Thank you very much, Anonymous. I appreciate it. All right, Anonymous, let me see what you have here in terms of your question. It says in a half PPR, it says if I want to play Andrews over Gadsden, I need to take BTJ out of my IR and drop either Dobbs, Godwin, or Corum. I have for Kyron Handcuff. Drop one or just play Gadsden. Happy Turkey Day, brother. At this point, genuinely, I would feel very much so comfortable making a move to make sure I play Mark Andrews because, again, when you're taking on Cincinnati, the history of which, of course, Lamar has against this defense and Mark Andrews has against this defense, it's very much so a safe play. So if I was in your position, I actually would probably feel more comfortable dropping somebody of the caliber of Dobbs in order to make this, get accomplished. But honestly, I also feel very comfortable dropping Godwin because even though Jaden Reed is going to eventually return to the Green Bay Packers and Mike Evans is eventually going to return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I feel a little bit more of a threat coming from the Evans convo, especially in the fantasy playoffs, to which I think Godwin ends up being the casualty in the circumstance. And also Godwin's got that injury history. The consistency of that is just kind of always throwing it into flux. So I think Godwin ends up being the person who gets axed there to accomplish that. Thank you. All right, moving on. We had a question that came in from Daniel Barnes. Daniel, thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir. It says rest of season kicker Fairbairn, Little, or Boswell? I think it depends. Again, I do typically prefer kickers like Fairbairn because they play indoors for the remainder of the season, or at least for majority of the season. And then whenever there isn't any sort of weather implication, it is promising. Now, I will say there are a couple games here ahead in which there's only one game here ahead that is not indoors, and that's at Kansas City week 14. Otherwise, they're at Indianapolis, indoors at Lucas Oil. Then they're at home versus Arizona, at home versus Las Vegas. Again, they're in an indoor stadium there. And then there are week 17 championship Sunday against the Chargers in SoFi Stadium. So ultimately, I think Fairbairn is the safest of the bunch. Not only is he one of the best kickers in fantasy football for 3 years running, and of course been on a streak of late scoring 10 plus fantasy points in each of the last 3 games in which he has played, but additionally, he gets CJ Stroud back. Hopefully, this offense continues to score more. And of course, he has no weather impact for the remainder of the season. As we get closer to December, it's certainly going to be a lot of weather implicated games. Thank you. Continuing on, we had Nexty who says, "Am I crazy?" ? I think Burrow will be rusty. No T. Higgins. In Baltimore, Ravens defense has improved, which is absolutely correct. I'm starting Nix instead. Should I trust Bucky? Okay, really quickly. Starting Nix instead of Burrow, I think that is the correct choice based on my rankings that I have on screen that were up there just moments ago and will filter back. I do have Bo Nix ahead of Burrow. So I would suggest that you stick with that overall approach. Now, as for should we trust Bucky, I think it's a dependent factor on a couple kind of things that we have to keep an eye on. First and foremost, is Mayfield playing? And then next after that, how many full participations of practice did Bucky Irving have over the course of this week? So as we get closer to Sunday, in the event in which, again, Mayfield is in, it gives me more potential trust in Bucky. And if he fully practices at that point, I would fire him up as a top 15 potential running back within the given week. Otherwise, if he doesn't get a full participation, has any sort of setback, or Mayfield is out, I think his value diminishes because the offense effectively diminishes accordingly. Gio sends in a question. It says, full PPR flex, Dowdle, Hunter Henry, Sutton. Thank you. Look, in a full PPR, I don't know if I can outright trust Hunter Henry or Cortland Sutton. I think Dowdle himself has also been very much so of a sketchy play of late, considering the opportunity share has not been the most absolute. He could have very easily had a 1-yard rushing touchdown this most recent week. Obviously, they wanted to throw the ball. But in terms of consistency of play, even with his most recent week being a relatively disappointing performance, we're still talking about Rico Dowdle having put up 10-plus fantasy points in, 7 of the last 8 games? Like, I feel like the consistency there is just a little bit too strong. He always has the potential of scoring a touchdown. I'm going Rico Dowdle in that circumstance. Gio, thank you. All right, Roderick Hart, 4088 says in a question. Roderick, thank you. Says, in a 16-team full PPR, are we trusting Josh Jacobs today? I mean, yes, I would. Again, he was removed from the injury report. He has no designation of an injury. Again, what was plaguing him last week, even the fact that he was dealing with the injury last week, the ultimate factor was he practiced last Thursday. The only reason they kept him out is because they wanted to make sure that he was safe and ready to go for this upcoming matchup because of the playoff implications they have against Detroit, in comparison to knowing that they could win with or without him against Minnesota. So I am trusting Josh Jacobs today. I'm firing him up. I have him ranked on screen at a very high rate because I'm anticipating him to continue his streak in which he has scored 17 in the last 18 games with 1 rushing touchdown minimum. Now, as for your next question, or the context to it, says I have Kyron, Kenneth Walker, Woody Marks, and Charbonnet, Loveland, and Strange. Yeah, if you have an opportunity of starting 2 running backs and a flex out of those available, I would play Kyron, I'd play Jacobs, and I'd probably end up playing Kenneth Walker. As for Loveland and Strange, I prefer Brett and Strange going forward. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Sharon Gray, 2983, sends in a question. Says, hello, Andrew. I am the wife of Pryor. Oh, my goodness. And I need to beat him in front of all of our family, Pacheco or Monangai. Yeah, I don't know if Pacheco's overall deployment is going to be worthwhile enough to throw him out there. Again, especially considering how much favor Kareem Hunt has gathered over the course of the last, 4 weeks here effectively. I do think that Pacheco is going to get a couple runs here and there, but based on the fact that Monangai has cleared away the goal line back of the Chicago Bears, has taken favor this most recent week playing more snaps than DeAndre Swift, and effectively has an opportunity of kind of continuing to expand that, I think Monangai is the appropriate play between the two of them, as I think Kareem Hunt still has a lot of the potential inside edge, and additionally the the advantage of the fact that Pacheco's coming off of injury. So for now, Monangai is my suggestion. Best of luck. You'll probably end up beating Pryor today. And he already said he made the fantasy playoffs. I don't know why. He should just be throwing the game this week. unless he's trying to gatekeep fantasy playoffs. All right, thank you. Golden sends in a question. What's up? Says full PPR must win. I'm in 1 running back, 2 flex. We have Tracy, Devin Neal, who popped up questionable yesterday. I didn't like seeing that. Hunt, Michael Wilson, Dobbs, or Pearsall. Okay, I don't like Dobbs. I don't like Pearsall. So it's really just between these available options here. It says I got a 1 quarterback league. I have Daniel Jones. Don't trust him anymore. And Brissett. Then just play Brissett. I think it's a fantastic play. It's got an incredible matchup. Perfect. It says pick up Burrow and play. I mean, at this point, based on my current rankings, I don't mind the idea of picking up and playing Burrow there. Again, his history of success and the comfortability and familiarity against that defense, there could be a couple rustiness kind of situations or issues there that may arise in the matchup, but ultimately, I feel comfortable in the idea of going after Burrow and playing him. If you wanted to roll it safely this week, just play Brissett against Tampa Bay because it's just an auto matchup. Now, in regards to the rest of your players, 1 running back, 2 flex, I'm playing Michael Wilson in my flex, and I'm probably going to just roll with Tracy and Hunt as my running backs this week. Thank you very much, Golden. Play by play, 5244 says Nico Collins, Ashton Genty, or Travion Henderson, pick 2 full PPR. I'm playing both running backs. Travion Henderson and Genty are both very much so capable receiving backs. Genty coming off of a game of 8 receptions. Travion Henderson, even though, again, didn't see the end zone, he still handled 70+% of the overall backfield opportunity share. He has a Giants matchup. Genti has a Los Angeles Chargers matchup. They're both incredibly advantageous, while on the other end, we have Nico Collins having to take on Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward. I prefer both running backs in this circumstance. Thank you. Chris Rosado sends in a question. Chris, thank you. Says Nix or Burrow? I prefer Bo Nix as of this week against Washington's defense. Again, Washington can't stop a soul. Bo Nix will continue to expand upon that. We have Parker Washington, Christian Watson, Tedero McMillan, half PPR pick 2. As of right now, based on the rankings that are on screen and that are filtering in a half PPR scoring format, I would go in the direction of playing Parker Washington and probably Tedero McMillan. Those would be the 2 highest ranked in which I have. I do think that there is a little bit more upside in rolling Christian Watson there. Do I love the idea of... I don't love the idea of playing Christian Watson or Tet. They both require touchdowns. Again, technically, they're both the number ones of their offenses. They both should be in negative scripts. Again, for now, I have Parker Washington number 1 and Tet number 2. If you wanted to kind of get a... Okay, let me just tell you. The rankings on screen for wide receiver are under the assumption that BTJ is just still unknown. So in the event in which BTJ does play, I think Parker Washington does technically diminish, to which maybe it is the wise decision for you, Chris, to play Christian Watson today. In the event in which BTJ is out, you play Parker Washington on Sunday. Otherwise, if in the event in which BTJ is in and it diminishes the overall opportunity share of Parker Washington, then you would play Tedoroa. So I think Christian Watson Tet would probably be my suggestion for right now, considering the circumstance. Thank you. Siobhan Walker sends in a question, says, Big Dog, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. Thank you. Says Dobbs, Mechie, or Tucker. As of these available, I think John Mechie is the way in which I would go about this. I go Mechie 1, I go Dobbs 2, I go Tucker 3. Says I'm already playing Franklin and Michael Wilson in need of full PPR. Okay, flex. Says we really like Joe over Caleb. Yeah, I don't love the idea of playing Caleb, but if you wanted to roll with him, you certainly can. I says I need a W. Opponent has Gibbs. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm very much so comfortable rolling with Joe Burrow in the given matter. Again, the last 2 games against Baltimore last season were absolute shootouts. One of those games were in the absence of specifically T. Higgins, and still Joe Burrow threw for 4 touchdowns. So ultimately, it's a different situation, different defense, different weapons, different kind of availability, different time of the season, all these different factors and variables. But I would feel more comfortable playing Burrow there over Caleb, and I would suggest playing Mechie in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, let's hear. Marco Jacinto sends in a question, says Prescott or Brissett. I prefer to play Brissett, but if you wanted to play Prescott, if you wanted to play Brissett instead of Prescott, I wouldn't mind it. I do, in fact, have Prescott pretty highly ranked. Again, a top 7 quarterback, so I'd still kind of lean in that direction. Regardless of, again, even if they lose, the garbage time he's able to accumulate is probably still going to be enough. As for your next question, Tedero McMillan or Kenneth Walker in a full PPR, let me see where I have Walker comparatively. So as of this moment, between the 2 of them, I would play Kenneth Walker there against Tennessee. Thank you. Sorry, not against Tennessee, against Minnesota. I don't know why. They played Tennessee last week. My brain's all jumbled. Thank you. All right, Phil sends in a question, says, full PPR, I need to start 2 running backs from the list and 1 flex. Judkins, JTN, Harvey, Gainwell. Thank you. It says, P.S. I've got Bijan as my RB1 spot, so that's a given, obviously. Okay, so in the case in which you have Bijan already starting, I'm playing ETN alongside of him, and I'm flexing Harvey. So those would be the 3 running backs. If in the event you need another additional running back, I would then position myself to most likely end up... Let me see where I have Judkins comparatively to Gainwell in a full PPR. I still play Judkins there. So for now, it's going to be, of the availables you have, ETN 1, Harvey 2, Judkins 3, Gainwell 4. Thank you, Phil. Frank Grillo sends in a question, says, why Stafford over Dak? Thoughts on Bucky? Full PPR. Yeah, look, as of right now, the primary reason why Matthew Stafford sits where he does is because I truly do believe that he's just got far more consistency of play of late. And again, 6 of the last 8 games with 3 or more passing touchdowns. That kind of baseline of production, on top of the fact that he has a far more advantageous matchup in terms of ease, taking on a very heavy zone coverage defense like the Carolina Panthers amongst all quarterbacks this season. Matthew Stafford is the most efficient in terms of per dropback against zone coverage. Should have himself a feasting performance in comparison to Dak, who could end up finding trouble against Kansas City's secondary. Says thoughts on Bucky Irving. As long as he gets a full practice participation tomorrow, that's all that matters. And we're firing him up in a top 15 capacity. I just ended up realizing, not even realizing, I thought I felt it earlier. I was like, what the heck is this? So it's a piece of popcorn that I was eating earlier to keep myself awake as I was completing rankings. All right, continuing on. We continue with Mr. Eric, who sends in a question, says, full PPR, who do I drop? Pearsall, Mechie, or Strange? Who do you drop? I mean, I really do like the overall fantasy matchup for the fantasy playoffs for Pearsall against those three teams. So I'm probably not looking to drop him. I'd only ever drop Strange if I have one of my potential top 8 tight ends already rostered. So once the top 8 tight ends roster kind of like flies up here, which is, McBride, Bowers, Kittle, Kelsey, Warren, Ferguson, Gadsden. If you have one of those players, I think you can drop Brett and Strange there. Unless you have Kittle and you need to pick, you need to keep Brett and Strange for a bye week next week. Otherwise, I think at that point, if you're not going to drop Strange, you'd go to dropping Mechie there next. Thank you. Brewhand11 says, in a half PPR, need a flex between Theo Johnson, Bashaw Tootin, Isaiah Pacheco, Sean Tucker, and John Mechie. So for now, I think your most appropriate play is either Mechie or Theo Johnson. I think Theo Johnson, assuming, of course, Jackson Dart is back, would be the play there. And again, we won't know that until Monday, but hopefully we would know beforehand. In the event in which he is not available and Jameis is going to start, I would just play John Mechie there against the Atlanta Falcons. Thank you. Moving on to T-Man Yo. Long time no see, T-Man. Hope you're doing well. Says in a pick 2 between Nico, Shakir, Gainwell, Christian Watson. Happy Turkey Day. Thank you very much. Thank you for the happy Thanksgiving. Which wishes in regards to starts for this week from your roster, assuming it's a full PPR, it's going to be Nico Collins and Shakir. I think that's just a very simple approach for me. So that's going to be my immediate suggestion. If there was any other fantasy kind of implication in terms of scoring format that was different than a full PPR, of course, we can discuss that. But assuming that is the case, I'd lean towards Nico and Shakir. Thank you. Alex Songgrass sent in a question. Alex, thank you very much. There's in a non-PPR start 2 between Dowdle, Jacobs, Neal, and Walker. Of those available options, I believe I have Jacobs clearing away as my number 1. And as for my number 2 RB, I have Kenneth Walker. As of right now, who is your alternative? You have Dowdle. Yeah, as of right now, I'd still play Dowdle there. So it'd be Dowdle and Jacobs as my RB1 and 2 in a non-PPR. Because again, Dowdle's touchdown upside is going to be technically higher than Walker, considering the infrequency of that. As for wide receivers, start 1 between Sutton, JJ, and Tataroa. I would play JJ. Full PPR wide receivers start 2 between Franklin, Debo, and Dobbs. I would play Franklin and Debo. And then RB start 2 between Neal, Marks, and Bucky. Assuming Bucky's fully healthy, he would play alongside of Marks. Thank you. D-Man35 sends in a question. D-Man, thank you. Says in a must-win, need upside, RB2, Tootin, Pacheco, Algier, Rodriguez, Bam Knight, Sean Tucker. Okay, so there's a couple of conversations to be had here. If, in fact, Trey Benson is absent, you play Bam Knight. In the event in which that is not the case, I believe the next best option, technically speaking, is Chris Rodriguez. Then, I think the next best option after that would technically be Bashaw Tootin in the event in which they blow out Tennessee so badly to which maybe he gets some run. So for now, if Trey Benson is out, you play Bam Knight. Again, I'm not even going to speculate if Bucky Irving's out. He's going to play. So Bam Knight will play there if Trey Benson's out. Otherwise, you pivot to Chris Rodriguez. Otherwise, you pivot to Tootin, assuming maybe they blow out Tennessee. But even then, I think it's sketchy. So Bam Knight, Chris Rodriguez. Otherwise, Chris Rodriguez outright as the lone back, assuming Trey Benson and, of course, Bucky Irving are playing. TPD 45 says a question. Says, I finally got rid of Jefferson for Pittman Jr. That's great. I like that trade. Again, I really do find Michael Pittman Jr.'s fantasy playoff schedule to be incredibly advantageous. Has also traded Ibuka and Hampton for CD. Thoughts? Not sure if I love the trade as a whole, but looking at the team, when you have Rashee Rice, Stephon Diggs, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren, Judkins, Neal, and McBride, I feel like you can afford to make a trade of that caliber, to which, again, you're going to be starting Rice, Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, CMC, Jacobs, Tyler Warren, maybe that's Jalen Warren. It is Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren, McBride, May. You can afford to make the trade, and ultimately, in terms of rest season purposes, I have no issue with it at all. Robbie7301 says, RJ Harvey or Rico Dowdle trying to decide. I prefer RJ Harvey. Again, the matchup against Washington is far too advantageous in comparison to what Rico Dowdle is going to have to deal with taking on the Rams this week. Thank you. Gob MX3091 says, in a full PPR flex, 1, BTJ, Tyler Warren, Parker Washington, Quentin Johnson, and Omarion Hampton. Thanks and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, Gob, here is the thing, or maybe it's Go BMX. Actually, it's definitely Go BMX. Okay, so in regards to the overall question here, under the assumption, there's a lot of things here that are still unknown. Like, is BTJ going to play? That certainly impacts Parker Washington's potential. Is Omarion Hampton going to play? And I think that also like potentially kind of provides a little bit more context as to which direction we go in. As of this moment, with the information that we're privy to, I probably would end up leaning in the direction of wanting to play Parker Washington. Otherwise, pivoting to most likely Tyler Warren there. That's the direction I go in. Parker Washington 1. In the event in which BCJ is active and he diminishes his value, we pivot to playing Tyler Warren. And then only if Omarion Hampton gets a full practice today and tomorrow, am I going to feel confident enough rolling him against the Raiders this week and not believing it's going to be a 1-2 combo between him and Vidal to kind of ramp him up. So expect for Tyler Warren to be the answer there. Thank you. Alex Ongrass sends in a follow-up. Says 6-point per passing touchdown league, Brissett or Dart? In a 6-point per passing tutty league, I think I feel a little bit more comfortable going Jacoby Brissett in this circumstance. I understand this most recent week in terms of what Brissett performed at wasn't his greatest week of late, but he's still coming off of 5 of the last 6 games with 2 or more touchdowns scored. So I'm not going to really utilize this overall game against him in which he only had 1 passing touchdown. I do anticipate him to continue to ball out. So in that kind of a format, I do feel like there's a little bit more safety with Brissett effectively. Even though Dart has been such a red zone rushing touchdown monster, Brissett will be a little bit of a safer option in that format. Now, in regards to grab Jones off of the waivers and keep my 2 quarterbacks, happy Thanksgiving, brother. Okay, so am I picking up Daniel Jones? No, I don't think you need Daniel Jones, technically speaking. Looking at the upcoming schedule for Jacoby Brissett in the fantasy playoffs, I don't technically love him playing against Houston or Cincinnati week 15 and 17. So maybe eventually the plan is to drop Brissett for Daniel Jones, as it is a little bit more of a potential streamlined option for those given games. Thank you. Phil sends in a question. Says full PPR start 2 between AJ Brown, Jalen Warren, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Rome Odunze, and Michael Wilson. Okay, so of those available options, my 2 highest ranked are AJ Brown and Jalen Waddle. Clear and away, those are my number 1 and 2. Only in the event in which Michael Wilson has no Marvin Harrison this week would I play Michael Wilson alongside of A.J. Brown. As for your next question, says the 2 quarterbacks I got are May and Burrow. Who do I start? I would play Drake May there this week. Thank you, Phil. Okay, another question from another Phil. Phil Zhang sends in a question. It says, I want to play Dart over Caleb, but Dart is 100%. But is Dart 100% playing on Monday? There is no confirmation of yet. He did practice at a full participation earlier today, but until we get the confirmation in which he has cleared the concussion protocol, he is still going to be technically, questionable. So as of right now, the assumption is that he should be able to play. But again, just keep in mind that the New York Giants have a bye week in week 14. So there may be incentive for them to hold him out for another consecutive game here. And considering they play Monday, we might not hear news on that until later in the week. Considering that, if you have an opportunity, says if he doesn't clear before tomorrow, should I play Caleb or pivot to Jameis/T-Law? If I was you, I would probably... Okay, so here would my only question be. If you were to pivot to Jameis or T-Law, would you be able to just move Dart into your IR spot, or would you have to drop Caleb in order to accomplish that? If it requires a drop, I just play Caleb against the Eagles. Otherwise, I would probably like to pivot to probably T-Law in this circumstance. Thank you. Daisy, if you do, sends in a question. It says standard. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex between Wanda Robinson, Franklin, Jalen Warren, Tracy, Marks, and Benson. So in terms of your flex, I've got to play Jalen Warren there against Buffalo in a standard format. They can't stop the run. As for my starting wide receiver, I mean, regardless of which way this quarterback position goes, I think Wanda Robinson's just got a little bit too much value for me to be passing up on in this circumstance. Even in the standard scoring format, I understand that, again, Troy Franklin's a little bit more of a consistent, streamlined option in terms of touchdowns, having scored 4 in the last 5 games. But Warren and Wandell would be my answer there. And then as a follow-up, says standard 1 running back, 2 flex, Judkins, Jalen Warren, A.J. Brown, Tataroa, Ibuka, Tracy, Neil Hampton. Happy Turkey Day. Of these available, Jalen Warren's still my RB1. A.J. Brown is one of my flex options, and my other flex most likely ends up being, I want to say it probably ends up being Judkins, unless I get news on Mayfield playing with Ibuka this week. Thank you. Jerry Mendoza, 4692, says full PPR, Jared Goff or Jordan Love. I prefer Jared Goff this week. More options in terms of throwing the football too. More talent surrounding him. Flex, Gainwell or Trey Franklin. Let me see where it is in terms of a full PPR. I want to see the separation in their value so I can let you know. As of right now, between those two options, yeah, I would play Troy Franklin purely based off of recent consistency. I understand that, of course, the vast majority of the opportunity share which Gainwell has seen of late within the receiving game has been with Mason Rudolph, which I do believe with Rodgers returning does diminish his overall potential. So Troy Franklin will be the answer there. G. Medina says, happy Thanksgiving. Andrew, questions in the chat. Thanks. Okay, I appreciate that, man. Says, in a half PPR, my opponent has Jamar Chase, and I have Dak and Burrow. Should I strategize and go with Burrow over Dak for Chase point connection? My league has a 100-yard bonus for both players. Thanks. Says, in my second league, PPR, Caleb, Brissett, or Burrow. So look, as of right now, with the likes of having Dak Prescott on roster, I don't think there's a necessity to have to take the risk on Joe Burrow. So for now, I would just play Dak Prescott. As for the second league, Brissett is very much so a simply just really solid play there, to which I don't think there's any hesitation in playing Jacoby Brissett. To which, if you want to avoid the potential risk at which Burrow provides here, because there certainly is calculated risk, you would just play Brissett. Otherwise, I do prefer Burrow, and I have him projected for higher volume of points today. Thank you. Continuing on, we had Geo Row 7QR who sends in a question. Thank you very much, Geo. Let's see if I can find your question. Geo says the following. He says, in a full PPR, Jalen Warren or Flowers? I prefer to play Jalen Warren. Even though Flowers technically has himself an advantageous kind of position at times, taking on Cincinnati, just not the cleanest position, especially when he's not scoring enough touchdowns, and Lamar has been a shell of himself of late. Leo sends in a question. Says, play Yoshi Voss tonight or wait for Marvin Harrison to be cleared? I would wait for Marvin Harrison to be cleared. If Marvin Harrison doesn't clear, just pick up and play Dortch. Thank you. G Medina 3717 said, okay, we took care of that question. Kodiak, what's up? Says, happy Turkey Day, Andrew. Half PPR, Watson or Franklin in the flex. I prefer to play Troy Franklin there. It says, or should I start both and bench Flowers? I would genuinely do exactly that. I would rather bench Flowers. Again, Flowers has been solid, but has very little touchdown upside and is 100% contingent on a very high target share comparatively to Franklin and Watson to be able to compete. So that's the direction I would go with. Thank you. Brett M sends it a question. Says, Lamar or Dart? I think there is a conversation to be had in which Dart could be of more value, but we're still not certain of whether or not he is going to play. While we know for certain that Lamar will be playing against Cincinnati later this afternoon. So as of this moment, I do believe of your available options, Lamar is the wise play. As for your next option, says flex Watson or Neal. Receiving upside in a half PPR is needed. I would prefer, as of right now, to give it a week before I throw Neal out there outright. I think if you're in a desperate position, you can. But for now, I think I feel a little bit more comfortable going with Christian Watson there. Let me see where I have him ranked in a half PPR really quickly. Yeah, as of right now, half PPR scoring format, I do have Christian Watson ahead of Devin Neal. Thank you. Mateo RG13 sends in a question. Says, Watson, Tracy, or Benson, full PPR. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, thank you very much, Mateo. In a full PPR, Trey Benson or Tracy or Watson. Okay. Okay, so of your available options, yeah, I'm playing Tyrone Tracy there out of the group. That would be my suggestion there, Mateo. Thank you. Sloppy Nacho 12 sends in a question. Says, happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. I need a better lock for today. Brother, I genuinely haven't looked at any better plays as of today, as of yet. If I was going to look into the... Actually, let me pull this up and let me see what I can try to cook here. Let's see what your boy can cook. Let's look at these games today, shall we? So, in terms of potential production that may in fact transpire, let me see what we have here in terms of like receiving yards. Okay, so there's a lot of pretty decent options here. Couple sketchy ones that I'm still not 100% certain of. Okay, so I do like looking at Betr right now. There's a play of like 65.5 receiving yards for Rashee Rice. 69.5 receiving yards, 65.5, depending on whichever discount you want to take. I think both of them are incredible, and I really do like that potential play. When I go to the potential of the Cincinnati Bengals, as of right now, Jamar Chase is sitting at 91.5 receiving yards. There's also a number of 79.5 receiving yards. I like the 79.5. Again, he has been able to accomplish 79.5 very frequently of late. And of course, in this matchup against Baltimore over the course of the last couple of seasons, has been averaging over 225 receiving yards per game against Baltimore. So the yardage of Rashee Rice, Jamar Chase, and then technically, I can consider, let me see, what is Christian Watson at? 53.5. Yeah, no, I'll just take those two in terms of receiving yards as of this moment. I think it'll probably be a 2.7x if I have to guess. Okay, continuing on. Warren sends in a question. Warren, thank you very much. Warren says in a non-PPR, I need 3. Okay, let's see what you have here, brother. So Warren's question is as such. Need 3 between Jennings, Shakir, Wilson, Kelsey, and Ferguson. Also Boswell or McLaughlin. I have Boswell ahead of McLaughlin. As for Jennings, Shakir, Wilson, Kelsey, and Ferguson, if you need 3 of these options technically to start, I'd probably lean in the direction of going Michael Wilson, Travis Kelsey, and Khalil Shakir. Those are the 3 that I'd play. Thank you. Bjorn, 83 Burns, says Bowers, Quentin Johnson, or Benson, a full PPR flex. Of these available, I play Bowers in a full PPR. Thank you. Smith, a.k.a. MVP, says PPR, pick 2. Worthy, Quentin Johnson, or Hunt? I would probably end up playing Hunt and Worthy in a high-scoring matchup here. Thank you. Twisted Folk says half PPR, 2 teams / questions. Flex number 1. Okay, question number 1. Flex Gainwell or JMO? I would prefer to play JMO. Next question, Dowdle or Shakir? I would prefer to play Dowdle. Says, as always, for the weekly analysis, thank you for the weekly analysis and guidance. Trader Joe's Banana Muffins, thank you very much. And great. I love the callback there. That's a funny one, my man. That's a very, very funny one. I remember that like it was yesterday. We were talking about those. In regards to, again, Jameson Williams and Gainwell, let me just get a perspective as to my separation of projections in a half PPR. Yeah, again, I'm still going with JMO there, but there is a conversation to be had. It's not like the easiest overall circumstance here to where it's like, oh, you have to play Jameson Williams. But as of right now, I would play him, and then I would also play Dowdle. Now, you may be wondering, Andrew, why are you yawning so much? Again, like I mentioned earlier, it's been quite an interesting day for your boy. In order to get all these rankings prepared and ready and all of the analysis accomplished prior to today's live stream, I was not able to fall asleep. I've been up for close to 24 hours now. So, again, my brain's a little bit fried a little bit, but continuing to power through. Bjorn, 87 Burns, sends in a question, says also Drake or Dak. I would prefer to play Drake May in this circumstance. Thank you. Sean K sends in a question, says full PPR flex 1 Hampton, Yoshivas, or Benson. Of these availables, again, there's some technical. Okay, so for now, considering we don't know the status of Benson or Hampton, I think you have to wait. There's no point in playing Yoshivas tonight. Wait and let's see whether or not Hampton or Benson are going to be the available. Whichever one is available, start. In the event in which both are available, depends on their practice capacity in terms of how much limit and or fullness of said practice participation. But for right now, I would wait and see if Benson or Hampton can go. Thank you. John sends in a question. Says in a PPR 12 team, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, which 6 get the start? Running backs are Jacobs, Dowdle, Warren, Hendo, RJ. Wide receivers are Lamb, Abuka, Olave, Parker. Thanks, Andrew. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, sir. So in regards to this overall question, John, If we're starting 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex, my 2 running backs this week are Josh Jacobs and Henderson. My 2 wide receivers this week are going to be Olave and Lamb. I'm going to play RJ Harvey at my number 1 flex. And then I probably end up rolling Jalen Warren as my 2nd flex there. In the event in which we get a confirmation in which Mayfield playing, then I would play Ibuka over Jalen Warren there in the flex this week. Thank you. All right, Ignacio sends in a question. It says 2 running backs and a flex between Josh Jacobs, Rico Dowdle, Woody, Mechie, and Flowers. Okay, the 2 running backs I think are very simple. I'm playing Rico Dowdle and Josh Jacobs. As for the potential flex play there, I would also probably roll with another running back in the form of Woody Marks in this circumstance. Thank you. BB10 Club sends in a question, says, Happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. Standard, need 2 running backs and a flex between Rico, Jalen Warren, Bucky Irving, AJ Brown, Michael Wilson. I'm 5 and 7. Okay, so between these available options, your flex is going to be, out. I want to say that AJ Brown is the most appropriate flex play here, and then I would probably follow that up with most likely rolling Jalen Warren and Bucky Irving, assuming that Bucky Irving gets a full participation by Friday of this week. Thank you. Jabo All Good 87 sends in a question, says, "What's up, brother? Should I trade Sutton, Higgins, Brown for Brees and T-Mac? Happy Thanksgiving." Sutton, Higgins, and Brown. I think it depends on a couple factors. Number 1 factor, who the heck is Brown? Are we talking about AJ Brown? Are we talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown? Are we talking about Chase Brown? That is very much so important. So if this is, for example, a trade in which you're moving Sutton, Higgins, and Chase Brown for Brees Hall and Tataroa, I would rather have Higgins and Chase Brown rest of season. Thank you. ISO Flip says standard, Gadsden, or Ferguson. Sorry, not standard. It just says start. It depends on format. If we're playing in a half PPR or standard format, I'm playing Ferguson. If it's a full PPR, give me Gadsden. Thank you. Sam T87 says full PPR, 1 flex spot, Yoshibas, Neal, Judkins, or Booty. I try to fill probably Judkins or Neal in that circumstance. Not interested in either of the wide receivers as they are incredibly touchdown dependent. Thank you. Frenzy40K43 sends in a question, says Happy Turkey Day, part 2. Questions in the chat. Thank you, Frenzy. I appreciate that. He says, in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, Brock Purdy or Jackson Dart, full PPR, do I start Hunt or wait to see if Vidal and or Benson? Thanks. Okay, so of this overall question, I would play Jackson Dart. I'm not playing Purdy against Cleveland in a heavy implicated weather game. So as of right now, I would go with Jackson Dart there. Now, as for the potential of playing, potentially someone like Kareem Hunt, comparatively to those backup running backs in the form of Vidal and Benson, I would lean in the direction of playing Kareem Hunt as of this week. But I do like the idea which technically Benson provides for rest of season, assuming he maintains the starting role. Don Frost sends in a question, says, greetings, flex Hunt. Okay, so it says I need flex Hunt, Ricky, Neal, or Gadsden, full PPR. Of these available, I think there's a... Yeah, as of right now, I play Kareem Hunt, number 1. Gadsden, number 2. Neal, number 3. Ricky Pearsall, number 4. Don, thank you. Honey Bunny, 8167 says start 2, BTJ, Pittman, or T-Mac. As of this moment, I would play Pittman and T-Mac. Only if I was to get confirmation that BTJ is playing would I consider him. But even then, coming off of the ankle injury, first week back, don't really trust it. I would play Pittman and T-Mac still. All right, let's see here. Rob sends in a question, says Baker, DJ Moore, Burrow, or Brissett. Of these available, not really interested in playing Baker even if he's healthy. Daniel Jones, Burrow, Brissett. I have it as Burrow number 1, Brissett number 2, Daniel Jones number 3. Thank you. Pizzo TV sends it a question. Pizzo, thank you. Says full PPR, 6-point per passing touchdown. Lamar or Dak Prescott, happy Thanksgiving. Look, as of right now, I think in any point in which we sit Lamar, there is a lot of implied risk involved. But I am justifiably in a position to which I could see it coming to fruition, to which he has another underwhelming performance here. So if I was you, I would roll with Dak there. ISO Flip says risk to start Bucky, or should I flex Trey Tucker, Parker Washington, Burden, Jaden Higgins, and Ferguson? Do I want to play? I mean, look, as of right now, in the event in which, again, let's say, for example, Brian Thomas is not playing, Parker Washington starting, and you have an opportunity in which they're going to talk about Parker Washington at an even greater role, I'd like to get it on the the ground floor of potential production there. Otherwise, I think Buck Irving is a fantastic haul going forward, considering again the offense in which he's associated with, and of course the production in which he's going to put forth. Thank you. Okay, we've effectively caught up on a lot of these super chats. I do appreciate you guys being incredibly patient as I continue to answer these on a very slow basis. Again, on this wonderful Thursday morning, we've been here for about an hour, 14 minutes answering any and all fantasy football questions. If you guys have any additional questions in regards to potential, interpositional rankings, we're talking about my top 36 running backs and wide receivers, top 12 kickers and defenses, and top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. Those are on screen as of literally here. Now, for those of you guys who want those all-encompassing rankings every Thursday and Sunday and be able to ask me any and all questions, you can check out the Patreon, sign up via the primary 2025 Fantasy Football Champion tier. Or, of course, like I've mentioned before in the past, for those of you guys who are interested, you can sign up today using code Andrew via Betr. And when signing up today, making that first-time deposit minimum of 10 and making a first-time play within a real cash play, you'll get those exact same rankings every Sunday for the remainder of the season, weeks 3 through 18. Thank you very much. Okay. We had Jake Whitling sends in a question. Says, in a 12-man full PPR, should I flex Myers or Monungai? I'd only ever play Myers if BTJ was out. Otherwise, Monungai gets the start. Dejuan 12 sends in a question. Says, Joe or Drake? I'd prefer to play Drake May. Says, I have Jamar. I'm 5-7. I'm on a 3-loss. Need to win out. Yeah, as of right now, I think Drake May accomplishes that for you. Thank you. Especially against the Giants secondary. Of all defenses to play against, I feel like that's just kind of the auto play in that circumstance. Appreciate it. Alrighty, let's see here. Boswell or Badgley? Look, as of right now, via the rankings right here, I have Badgley as my number 8. As for where I have Boswell, I believe I have Boswell just outside my top 12. Let me confirm this. Yeah, I have Boswell quite literally as my number 13 overall kicker. So could go in that direction, could go in either direction, genuinely. Watson or JMO? As of this moment, I think there's a conversation to be had to where technically there is a possibility which Watson, because of the greater target opportunity share, could be more relevant, but I just do prefer JMO. I think I just trust that offense and that passing attack just a little bit more in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, let's see here. The pun and only sends in a question. Says, I'm playing 0 quarterbacks in a super flex. I have Love, Mayfield, Stroud, Sanders, Tua. Should I start Love or keep him on the bench? I think I might just play Stroud there. Yeah, if I was in your position, I'd be really happy rolling with Stroud in that circumstance, assuming he's not already starting. Your QB1 in a super flex. Thank you. Honey Bunny sends in a question. Says, start 3: BTJ, Olave, Pittman, T-Mac, Higgins, and Mechie. Higgins is out with concussion. Mechie's not as viable. McMillan is not getting enough opportunity. BTJ is injured. Okay, so as of right now, I would suggest playing Pittman, Olave, and Tetaroa. Those are the 3 that in which I believe are the most valuable. QVerk says, hey, Andrew, I traded away Bijan for JSN. Am I crazy? I have HN and Dowdle, Abuka, and Adunze. No, I don't think it's crazy, especially in a full PPR. The production at which JSN is putting forth has been incredible, to say the very least. Jerome Hill sends in a question. Says, full PPR flex Sutton, Tracy, or Woody Marks? In a full PPR, I do have Tracy as my highest ranked of the bunch. So that's the direction in which I would suggest going for it. Thank you. Stash a turkey leg in the beard for Thursday night tonight. I mean, listen, as of right now, I'm thinking to myself, as long as these games are relevant and competitive as they are currently projected to be, like I mentioned it earlier this week, Kansas City versus Dallas is the highest implicated scoring game of the week, while the second highest potential scoring game of the week is Cincinnati versus Baltimore. And they're both taking on each other today. And shoot, who knows? Maybe Green Bay and Detroit come out and become a shootout. We're just hoping for no defense, all gas, no breaks, and a lot of fantasy points. If we can have that accomplished, I don't need to hide a turkey leg. I mean, honestly, it's just, I'll be popping bottles at that point. We'll be good to go, brother. Flex Rico or Shakir? I think it depends on format. I mean, ultimately in a half PPR standard, I'm going to go with a Rico Dowdle kind of play. In a full PPR, I could justify going Khalil Shakir. In fact, in a full PPR, I have Shakir ranked higher. Thank you. Mechie or Nico Collins? I'd play with Nico Collins there, regardless of quarterback. I understand it's sketchy, but still willing to take the risk. All right, let's see here. G Santos says, Strange or Jawan Johnson? I need to Bucky, Hendy, Dowdle. I mean, as of right now, I probably go with Bucky and Henderson, assuming Bucky gets a full participation of practice. So Bucky and Henderson. In the event in which that is not the case, I would pivot to just playing Hendy and Dowdle. As for Strange and Jawan Johnson, I would lean towards playing Jawan Johnson. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Santos. Alrighty. G Santos says, sorry, I'm in Gadsden, not Strange. Too many leagues. No problem. If it's Gadsden, I would play him over Jawan Johnson. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Alrighty. Let's see what this newest report is via Twitter here. Let's see if there's anything of relevancy. Yeah, nothing crazy. Jalen Johnson, cornerback. Kyler Gordon, cornerback. Eventually, this Bears defense is going to get their starters back, and they're going to be a damn scary football team to take on every week. That's going to be the interesting kind of rollout in which once that defense gets healthy, imagine they're an 8-win football team right now, and they have a very battered defense due to injury. So very much so intrigued to see what they'll look like after that point. Drop Tootin for Loveland as a stash, full PPR, good move. Yeah, if you need, look, when are you stashing him for? Because if I look at the upcoming schedule for the Chicago Bears, I don't know if I feel the most confident about it, but let me see. As of this moment, taking on Philly, Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay, San Francisco, I don't really love the matchup. So it just depends on what week you're holding him for, and then if I can justify doing so. Michael Wilson, Christian Watson, Neal, or Swift, BTJ. As of right now, Michael Wilson will be number one. Swift and probably probably Neal and Christian Watson alongside of Michael Wilson there because of the full PPR there. T. Jordan, thank you. Yeah, I think format does make a huge difference in terms of the potential there. MGM4 sends in a question. MGM, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it, my man. MGM says the following. Says, full PPR start 3. Zay Flowers, Tedero, McMillan, Troy Franklin, Jalen Warren. I cannot believe there are so many people willing to not start Troy Franklin. He would be number 1 alongside of Jalen Warren number 2. So if I'm playing either Zay Flowers or Tedero McMillan, I would rather play Tedero. So Tedero, Franklin, and Warren would start. And my odd man out is Zay Flowers in this circumstance. Thank you. I have Denver's would defense stash playoffs. Leo, it depends on what's available. If we're talking about like widely available defenses, Tampa Bay. Otherwise, we could isolate like a couple matchups here and there depending on what's available in your league. Okay, slowly but surely kind of powering through here. Opinions on Taysom Hill. As of right now, I have him ranked as my number 24 tight end and a half PPR. Again, he's been highly inefficient in terms of his rushing opportunity. So there's eventually going to be a week in which he pops off. So that's why I have him contingency. That's why I have him ranked this week as a contingency plan. Just in case if Devin Neal is going to be a little bit questionable, if not his 100% self, it does provide some opportunity for Taysom Hill to run the ball a bunch of times, coming off of a game in which he had 10 rushing attempts for 17 yards. Still enough opportunity to be of relevancy going forward. Okay, slowly but surely here. Happy Thanksgiving sends in a question from Rivera. Says, Adunze, Mechie, Abuka, was at Yoshivas. Please pick one for a full PPR. Also, Dart, Burrow, or Darnold. I'd rather play Okay, so here's the thing. Considering Dart's status is up in the air, I would technically prefer to play Dart, but considering I don't know his status, I'd probably rather just play Burrow today, just to be safe. But as of this moment, am I looking towards the position to pivot? No, I just probably rolled with Burrow there. I think that's a pretty solid play. Yeah, it's kind of the direction I'm leaning in. LOL, Andrew, sleepy this AM? Yeah, I didn't sleep. That's why. Very much so. Very much so exhausted at the moment. Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't stream last night. I don't know if you guys realized, but I did put a comment at the bottom of yesterday's wide receiver rankings video, specifically saying there's going to be a lot of time that I need to dedicate towards fixing these rankings up, because typically I have the opportunity on a Thursday to not have to put out these rankings until about 4 p.m. PST for Patreon. So I'm given a lot more time, and considering the timeline had to jump up, I genuinely just couldn't sleep, didn't have enough time to take care of it all. Okay, let's see here. Mando sends in a question. Mando, appreciate it. Let's see what you have here, brother. Okay, Mando says start 2. Bucky Irving, Kareem Hunt, Henderson, and or flex Dobbs out. Okay, look, as of right now, Henderson has to be the number 1. I think if Bucky Irving gets a full participation in practice, he should be 2. But as of this moment, the issue is, like, can I technically wait for him then? Let me see where I have this. Is it a full PPR? It doesn't mention it, Mando, but I'm gonna let's say you're in a half PPR. Let's just meet everyone in the middle. As of right now, I have Bucky ranked higher. So for now, personally, I'm willing to take the risk of going Hendo and Bucky. If you can flex Hunt as well, I would do that. But otherwise, it's Hendo and Bucky. You could play Hunt. Again, I have them back-to-back ranked on screen, as you can tell. Thank you. Joe R6211 says, fix my lineup. Allen, Bucky, Manungai. We have JSN, Michael Wilson, Tyler Warren. We have Zay Flowers, Dart, Brian. Browns defense bench is Pittman, Buka, Montgomery, Ramondre, Tucker, and C-Rod. Okay, lineup-wise, Josh Allen should play. Bucky Irving should play. Am I playing anybody over Manungai there? I would be willing to play Montgomery over Manungai. Then if we continue on, we're playing Jason and Michael Wilson, which is perfectly fine. And then Tyler Warren. And then I would probably play, assuming it's a full PPR, I'm okay with Zay Flowers there in the flex. Otherwise, I prefer Michael Pittman Jr. And then that's it. That's the only difference in which I potentially make a change there, Joe R. Thank you. Sean K3145 says, happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. Thank you very much. Says, I hope you have a great day and are able to get some rest. Thank you very much for the hard work. Thank you again for that, Sean. I will. Don't worry. After I complete this live stream, I will be probably sleeping for the remainder of the day until I have to wake up and eat and then watch football. So that's basically going to be it for me today. Thank you. Stephen Drake 7793 says, happy Turkey Day, my brother. In a half PPR, would you play Judkins or Bucky? I would genuinely prefer to play Bucky there, especially against that Arizona defense. There's also any 3 wide receivers out of Ibuka, Michael Wilson, Tetaroa, Nico, and Mechie. Out of those available, I feel most comfortable playing Nico, Michael Wilson, and Ibuka in that circumstance there, Steven. Thank you. The pun and only says, I forgot to add, I can start 2 out of the bunch. Okay, let me see the context to your previously asked question. If you can start 2 of these quarterbacks this week, I would suggest playing Stroud and Jordan Love. In the event in which you have an opportunity to where later in the week Mayfield is active, I would play him alongside of Love. But I think because of the circumstance, you are pigeonholed into having to play Love today, which I do believe is a correct choice. So for right now, with Mayfield still questionable, Jordan Love and Stroud will be your number 1 and 2. And then in the event in which later this week, obviously after today and after Love plays, if in fact Mayfield is active, you would replace Stroud and play Mayfield against Arizona. Thank you. Fantasy Forecast sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says Brissett or Purdy? I prefer Brissett this week. Again, Purdy against the Cleveland Browns matchup, not the most exciting circumstance. Says Bucky, Hendo, Javonte, Benson, Tucker, Adams, CD, T. Higgins, London, Parker, Burden, and DK. McBride and Gesicki, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. Any waiver guys, PPR must win. I mean, look, as of right now, I don't think you need any waiver guys. I think you should just start Henderson and Javonte as your RB1 and 2. I think you should be playing CeeDee Lamb and Devontae Adams as your wide receiver 1 and 2. And I think you should be probably playing Bucky Irving as your flex and starting Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Thank you. Actually, wait. Yeah, That's the way I wish I would go about it. Appreciate it. Okay, we have a question from Skatester. No, it's just Skatester. 1000 says standard. Need one wide receiver, one running back, and one flex between Chase Brown, Michael Wilson, Rico Dowdle, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay, so Chase Brown is my RB. I would probably say that Wan'Dale Robinson is my wide receiver. Actually, no, it's a standard league, so I'd probably go like Chase Brown. You know what? Hold up, let me think about this. In a standard scoring format where I get 0 points per reception, we got my. Okay, so only in the event in which Marvin Harrison is out would I go Chase Brown, Michael Wilson, and Rico Dowdle. Otherwise, I do believe the answer is Chase Brown, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Rico Dowdle there in a standard scoring format where you get 0 points per reception. Thank you. Blazin54 says Lamar or Burrow. I prefer Lamar there. Says flexing Justin Jefferson, Buck Irving, Kenneth Walker, Rome Odunze, Shakir, Worthy, Tracy. Hard to believe that Justin Jefferson is a possible sit. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thank you very much, Blazin. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. I greatly appreciate it again. Guys, this has been an incredible season thus far, but again, we are trying to get to the fantasy playoffs, and hopefully today's games will help us accomplish that. Now, in regards to your overall situation here, of the available options, I do not believe that Justin Jefferson should be sat in this circumstance. I'd probably end up playing him, assuming it's a full PPR. Over Bucky, K9, Rome, Shakira, Worthy, Tracy. Oh my gosh. I'm melting away here. So for now, yes, I would play Justin Jefferson if I have an opportunity to accomplish that. I think Brosmer is going to be a lot better than people anticipate in comparison to what JJM has been producing. Otherwise, if Justin Jefferson is not your cup of tea as of today, you roll with Kenneth Walker there and hope for Tutty upside. Thank you. Stony and Bear sends in a question. Stony, thank you. Says money guy. LOL. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was Manung guy, so I was just like not even going to really worry about that. Drop downs for Mechie. I would be willing to drop downs for Mechie. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Afflict sends in a question. Says, in a PPR, pick 2 between Keenan Allen, Jameer DK, Devin Neal, and C-Rod. Thank you. If I'm picking 2 of the potential 4, I'm playing Jameer DK and Devin Neal as my 2 starters in a full PPR. Thank you very much, Afflict, aka Jennifer. Okay, let's see here. Flotation, I see your question on Discord. Let's see what you said. It says, I got effed over by last week. Start over full PPR, obviously dropping Winston. Okay, so in the event in which you have the opportunity in which you could start another quarterback this week, you should drop Winston. I mean, technically, you would drop. I mean, maybe it is smart to keep Winston just in case, the possibility in which, again, he's replacing Dart here. So maybe the play is like, okay, we drop Singletary or Stevenson here. We play Dart as your super flex, and then everything else looks correct. Thank you. Says Cord, hope all is well, brother. It is. Thank you very much. But yeah, as of right now, looking at the roster here, Flotation, Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, Mark Andrews, Woody Marks. I played Jackson Dart as your super flex, Texans at your defense. I think that is the appropriate decision, to which I do believe of these available options, considering the Giants go on an upcoming bye and so do the Patriots week 14, I'm willing to drop either Singletary or Stevenson. So quite frankly, if it's me, I probably just end up dropping Singletary because I do appreciate the upcoming schedule ahead for New England. Thank you. Abram sends in a question. Abram, thank you very much. Says pick 2 running backs and 2 flex in a full PPR. Henry, Kyron, Dowdle, Javonte, Jacobs, Diggs, and McConkey. Okay, 2 running backs and 2 flex. I think that Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs should be auto starts, and then I would also auto start Kyron Williams alongside of most likely McConkey. So Henry, Kyron, Jacobs, McConkey. Those are the guys that I auto start as of this week. Abram, thank you. All right, Tam Win sends it a question. Is it Win? I believe it's Win. Let me just confirm this real quick. Yeah, it's win. Okay. Just making sure. Sorry about that. I went Ghost Radio silent for a second. I just wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing the name right. Tam Win sends in a question. Says, okay, we have Purdy, we have Daniel Jones, and we have Trevor Lawrence. Okay. So of these available options, I have Trevor Lawrence ranked as the highest quarterback of those three as of this week, considering their matchup against the Tennessee Titans. Therefore, I would suggest you pick up and play Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. Secret Pain sends in a question. Says, Caleb or Brissett? I prefer to play Brissett. PPR, pick 3 running backs from Bucky, Chase Brown, Aaron Jones, Vidal, Hampton. Happy Thanksgiving, bro. Thank you very much. Of your available options here, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, and only Hampton if he's active and at a full participation of practice by Friday. Otherwise, Aaron Jones is the last man in the combo. Thank you very much, Secret. To the max, 342 or 324, excuse me. Says, sup, Andrew. I have Gibbs, Achane, Rice, JSN, Denver Broncos defense. My bench is is it Aranda Gadsden, Tootin, Sutton, Watson. Who should I drop and stash for the waivers? Pearsall, Spears, Mooney, Higgins, Mechie. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay. So to the max, I don't believe that any of the names in which you mentioned off of your current waiver wire are worth picking up and potentially rolling with in comparison to what you currently have on roster. So for now, I would just leave it as such. I'm not making any moves. I'm not making any pickups. I'm keeping your roster and your current position as it is. Thank you. Flotation says, happy holidays to you and yours, gang. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Happy holidays to you as well. I see you, Mark sends in a question. Says, Smitty looking like he's going to miss this week. In a full PPR, who would you start for him in the flex? Hunt, Christian Watson, Keenan Allen, and Alec Pierce. I would rather play Kareem Hunt out of the group. Thank you. Pipe Down 7969 sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Pipe Down says, two in a full PPR. Sutton, Deebo Samuel, Jamison Williams, Jacoby Myers, and Juwan Jennings. Of those available options, I believe that Jamison Williams and Deebo Samuel are my 2 highest ranked, to which I would go in those 2 directions as of this week. Thank you very much, Pipe Down. Alrighty, slowly but surely catching up. Appreciate it. Where are we at here? Catching up slowly. Yes, okay, cool. Brett, that's a good one. I think that's funny. That's actually pretty funny. All right, let's hear, Stu, what you have to say, brother. It says, Coach, I'm struggling with my lineup. I'm worried about Pat's defense shutting down Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know if I don't feel confident. Any suggestions, or do I keep it the same? I mean, what is your alternative? Your alternative would theoretically be to play Michael Wilson in his stead and then flex Bucky Irving. I'm okay with that, honestly. If you wanted to go about it that way, that works as well. I think that's a decent pivoting option there. Thank you very much, Stu. Yeah, I think that is an appropriate theoretical pivot to where you just play Michael Wilson as your wide receiver 2, and in the event in which you don't want to play Wan'Dale Robinson this week, just play Bucky Irving in the flex. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Where are we at in terms of some of these questions? Yellow says, pick 2, Kareem Hunt, Bucky Irving, Rome Odunze, half PPR. I feel most comfortable playing both those running backs, Hunt and Bucky. All right, let's see here. Gomez says, happy Thanksgiving. I need a win badly in a 6-point per touchdown league. Need one between Brissett, Dart, and Nix. Thanks, and blessings to all. So as of those available options, as of this week, I do have Bo Nix as my highest ranked, so that's the direction in which I would go with. Thank you. Neal or Ferguson in the flex? Let me see where I have. Well, it depends on format, I think. As of right now, between Neal and Ferguson, I'd be okay going Jake Ferguson in a full PPR. Okay, let's hear. Rob24 Lakers says, Andrew, please help. I have JMO, Abuka, and Bucky. Need to start 2. JMO, Abuka, Bucky. I mean, as of right now, it's very much so contingent on the availability of Baker Mayfield. And considering we're not going to know that, I think you have to play JMO. And then we'll figure out whether it's Abuka or Bucky based on Mayfield's status as we get closer to Sunday. Thank you. Okay, Josh Holt, what's up, my man? Says happy Thanksgiving. I'm 6-6 in a full PPR. Here's my roster. We have Jalen Hurts, Debo Samuel, Rico Dowdle. Wide receivers are Chase and JMO. Flex is Pittman. Theo Johnson's my tight end. My bench consisting of Kenneth Walker, Woody Marks, BTJ Loveland. Any changes? I would feel a little bit more comfortable in the direction of going Kenneth Walker over Pittman in the flex because I really don't like that matchup against Lassiter and Stingley. Thank you. We move on to a question that comes in from Eleanor, who says full PPR, pick 2, Sutton, Christian Watson, Kenneth Walker. I would play Christian Watson and Kenneth Walker. Thank you, Eleanor. Josh Holt says, happy Thanksgiving. Questions in the chat. We just took care of that. Thank you very much, sir. In your circumstance, I feel like I would rather play Kenneth Walker in comparison to the theoretical potential of, Michael Pittman Jr. in the flex there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to a question that came in from Adam Amar, 8768. Adam, thank you. Says, call me crazy, but Taysom Hill week, ? I have Ferguson. I think this is a potential Taysom Hill week because when you least expect it, that's when this man strikes. But I don't know if it's at the point to where I'm ranking him anywhere above my top 20 tight ends this week. I think he's very much so a very volatile player on purpose, and because of that, makes him very much so a sketchy start option within a given week, unless we start to big up a lot of consistency and or he starts catching the ball like he was last season. Still not sure between Watson and JMO. Watson has the better floor. JMO has the better ceiling. Yeah, I guess it just depends on the matchup you're in, Brett. Like I feel like in this circumstance, I think both of them have potential upside. I do believe that the overall deployment of JMO this most recent game wasn't the most indicative as to what he could potentially look like the rest of the season. So I do prefer JMO there, but I could see the opportunity in which Christian Watson runs away with the job with a couple big plays here down the field as of today. But for right now, I go JMO there. Gadsden or Woody, full PPR. I would prefer as of right now. Let me see where I have Gadsden. As of those two options, I have... Man, where did I rank Gadsden? He must be really high here, huh? As of right now, between those two alternative options, yeah, as of right now, I'm not gonna play. Yeah, I wouldn't go Gats there, even in a full. A little bit too much volatility there. What does it say from Brian W? Says I might have too many Ravens players. I have Lamar, Henry, Andrews, and Flowers. Should I bench one of them? Bench Herbert, Harrison, or Gadsden? I think 3 is enough. I think 4 is too many. So maybe I replace Flowers with another wide receiver potentially there. That could work. Let's see here. Noah Rivera says, Andrew, sorry I didn't hear your answer from before. Wide receiver pick. I have these available options. Full PPR, Burrow with Chase or Chase Brown combo. Look, as of right now, of your available options, if I'm picking a wide receiver, it's probably a Buka and a Dunze as the 1-2 combo. Only in the event in which you have an unfortunate circumstance of potentially, I mean, again, there's so many variables out there. But again, in the event in which like Mayfield's active, that changes everything. Otherwise, I do believe a Buka and a Dunes are the way to go there. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see what we have here in terms of some of the super chats that were sent in. William L 1232 says full PPR sit 1, Tedderall, McMillan, Cortland Sutton, Michael Wilson, and Tracy. Of those available, honestly, if Michael Wilson's healthy, I probably give him the start. Thank you. J Nice 5873 says any pick'em plays Drew today. Yeah, as of the ones that I liked earlier today that I was looking at, Rashee Rice more than his like 69.5 receiving yards. And I believe the other play which I liked as of today. Geez, where did it go? Where did the other play go? Oh, yeah. So it's Rashee Rice. Yeah, going more than 69.5 receiving yards. Or if you can get it at the discount of 65.5 receiving yards. And then alongside of Rashee Rice in that circumstance, I believe we talked about, what was it? Let me see here. I think we talked about, I mean, honestly, I don't even remember. I'm trying to even remember off the top of my head. I know that was for sure. And then there was another play that I liked. I don't even recall, genuinely. That's how fried my brain is right now. If I was going to look at a different potential play here in this circumstance, I might take like Dak Prescott more on his passing attempts, something of that exchange. 36.5 right now, but that's even a sketchy number. No, I don't like that too much. Rashee Rice, and then maybe it's like Jamar. Yeah, it was Jamar Chase. It was Rashee Rice and Jamar Chase, both more on their reception or receiving yards. Excuse me. Thank you. All right, coming back around here, we had a question that came in from Led. After we get finished with Jay Nice. Okay, so we had Led, we have Blazin. Okay, Blazin says team is Lamar, Burrow, CD, Justin Jefferson, Rome Odunze, Shakir, Worthy, Bucky, ETN, K9, Tracy, Harvey. I keep going back and forth, leaving it to you to set my lineup. Okay, so I'm going to play Lamar there. I'm going to play CD Lamb at wide receiver 1. I'm not even going to figure out wide receiver 2 yet. I'm going to play ETN as RB1, Harvey as RB2. I'm probably playing Bucky Irving in my flex. To which, and my wide receiver 2, I probably end up rolling with Rome Odunze. If it's a full PPR, I'll take Shakir. So, okay, actually depends. Okay, so it's a full PPR. So this is the way I wish I go about this place. And CD Lamb, Khalil, actually you have Justin Jefferson. I think you just, oh man. Okay, CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson, ETN, ETN, Harvey, and Bucky. Those are the 5. Thank you. Led sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, questions in the chat. Says in a full PPR, 0.15 per receiving yards as a bonus. Example, week 11, Tedero McMillan scored 40 points in this league and 38 in a regular season full PPR. This week, I need a wide receiver in a flex. Parker Washington, Tedero, Hunt, Menungai, Strange, Benson, Pearsall, and Neal. Not really too... I think I'm a little bit still confused about the overall potential of your... You have 0.15 per receiving yards. So every 10 receiving yards, you get one, or every 10 receiving yards, instead of getting 1 point, actually, no, it's not even 1 point. Okay, I see what it is. So yeah, you're getting 1.5 fantasy points for every 10 yards. Understood. So it's a time and a half in terms of this circumstance. To which of the available options you have at your disposal in a full PPR, I would feel most comfortable going Parker Washington there. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next question on hand. We have Adam Amar. Says, you're a stud, man. Thanks for your dedication. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Just glad to help in any way. Vincent Rufo, 5948. Hopefully I did not absolutely butcher that name. Says, Gesicki heavily targeted last year in games Higgins was out, including 9 versus Baltimore. Happy Thanksgiving. I agree. Again, there's a reason why I mentioned Mike Gesicki at the beginning of the week as a waiver wire option, as a potential pickup going into this week's matchup. Last season, in games in which he has played without T. Higgins, he was averaging 8 targets per game and a boatload of stats. So again, there's a reason why Mike Gesicki, as of this moment, is currently ranked right. Let me just pull this up here. Mike Gesicki's my number 16 on the very bottom right there. There's a reason why he's there, and he's climbed into that conversation. It's because of the matchup against Baltimore and the advantageous nature of not having T. Higgins take up all of his value. Nathan Salazar sends in a question. Thank you very much, Nathan. Says, questions in the chat, pick 2 in a full PPR. Okay, sounds good, brother. Thank you. Nathan Salazar says, Higgins, Debo, Tedero, McMillan, Woody Marks. Thanks. Happy birthday. Happy Thanksgiving, my brother. 10-2 because of you. Thank you. Okay, if I'm picking 2 of these available options, Debo Samuel and probably Woody Marks, if in a half PPR. If it's a full PPR, just give me Debo and Tat. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from Carnage 22, who says 10-team full PPR set: Sutton, Dowdle, Myers, Dobbs. Of those available options, if I'm in a full PPR, I'm probably playing. I think it depends on a couple factors here. Like, I don't want to play Romeo Dobbs, right? So then it just becomes a matter of like, is BTJ active? So Myers is up in the air. Then it goes to Sutton and Dowdle, to which I'd rather just play Dowdle because he scored 11 plus fantasy points in like 5 of the last 6 games. So Dowdle's my answer there, Carnage. Thank you. T King 44 sends in a question. T King, thank you. Says full PPR. I need 2 for the flex. We have Luther Burden, Darius Slayton, John Mechie, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, Alec Pierce, Devon Vele. Which one do you recommend? Okay, so of the available options here, I would recommend playing Walker and DeAndre Swift as the 2 for the flex. Thank you. Dragon the Beast 730 says Dart or Burrow as of right now. The only reason I have Dart behind Burrow is because I wasn't 100% certain of his Monday status. If he was to confirm play on Monday, I would start him ahead of Burrow. Brian W170 says, thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate that, my man. Let's see here. Pursue Happiness sends in a question. Says, I'm torn to start Lamar or Dak. I think they're both fantastic. Obviously been a little bit more sketchy on the side of Lamar, which has never really been the case with his career. He's never been this underwhelming. So it's, first time for everything. So if you wanted to play Dak, you can. Otherwise, I do believe there's a lot of value to be had with Lamar today, as last season against the Cincinnati Bengals threw for 4 touchdowns in each of those 2 games against them. All right, Alex Reese 5396 says all PPR, Strange, Theo, or Schultz. Okay, so really quickly, let me go ahead and pull up my full PPR rankings. Okay, so Strange, Schultz, or Theo. I would rather play Schultz out of the group. Next question: flex BTJ, Pearsall, Neal, Charbonnet, Monangai. Of these available in the flex, assuming it's a full PPR and BTJ is active, I would play him. Otherwise, my next best option in this circumstance would be to play Devin Neal. Next question, lastly, pick 2 between Dowdle, Bucky, or Kareem. Okay, of these available options, I do feel a little bit more comfortable in the direction of playing technically Dowdle and Irving, because Kareem Hunt's not as receiving upside centric. So I would play Dowdle and Bucky there. Says also flex Alec Pierce, Jawan Johnson, Rodriguez, or Neal. Jawan Johnson seems like a pretty good play for a full PPR. A lot of consistency of production there. Thank you. Xavier Pert 4197 says drop 1 to pick up Parker Washington. Addition AJ Brown, Stevenson, Andrews, Kamara, and McLaurin. I would probably drop Stevenson there under the assumption that you don't need the RB depth. Otherwise, I think the next man up in terms of a casualty for the potential cut would be Jordan Addison there. Thank you. Xavier, I appreciate that, my man. Alrighty. Better plays, says Stu. Yeah, the only 2 that I really like as of right now, and I can go ahead and I'll share them again. So the 2 which I'm looking at, first and foremost, I really like Rashee Rice today. Again, right now on Betr, if I go over to his projections, he has a play at 65.5 receiving yards, which I'm going to like to just go ahead and take advantage of that. And then I have Jamar Chase as my number 1 ranked wide receiver this week. He also has the opportunity of getting a pretty good yardage count because, again, of how much dominance he has produced against that defense. His current number sits at 92.5 receiving yards, but I'm going to get an opportunity of taking that at 79.5, to which I can get a 2.7x with both of those players. Then if I was going to look to potentially put somebody else within the mix here, I mean, I really do love Derrick Henry for an anytime touchdown because, again, the potential which he has done that consistently, but am I 100% locked in on that? It becomes a little bit sketchy in that circumstance because you never know. Is there anybody else that's a little bit more implicated for touchdowns? Not theoretically speaking. For now, those will be the 2 that I roll with, just like the Jamar Chase 79.5 going more on that, and then Rice going more than, 65.5. I think it's like a $10 max because of the overall circumstance there. So we'll make that as a potential entry. In regards to other plays that we could explore, I mean, usually I like to take advantage of matchups in this kind of a circumstance. So let me just pop this up on screen so that I can share it with you guys so we're on the same page. We can kind of navigate it together at the same time here. So let's go ahead and let's pop this on the screen, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll look for this. Perfect. Okay. That is technically not the right one, but it fits. Technically. So if I can maybe adjust it, that might be helpful. Yeah, there it is. Adjusting makes it a huge worlds of a difference. Okay. So in regards to the potential plays here, so like I was just talking about it moments ago, okay? This is, what play is this from? Oh, that was from, sheesh, that was the disaster of a Monday night game. So the one that I just put together was this, Rashee Rice at the discount of 65.5, and then Jamar Chase being able to get him at 79.5 receiving yards. I like both those as a potential play. In regards to other plays, in regards to today, if we were looking for a little bit of extra like upside, I think because of the goose egg that he put here, the potential of getting him at 3.5 receptions, I feel like is very much so a bargain to take. I think Christian Watson at 3.5 receptions has to be an automatic. I mean, again, he's the number one wide receiver option of this offense, and somebody's got to have to find success down the field against them. So I feel like that's an automatic as well, to which if you're just trying to get 2 plays within this game, I think that's a fun, overall potential experience there. I know it's only a 2.7x, but, going more on both those potential options, it should be more. Technically, why is it only a 2.7x? I'm getting them both at their base. I don't understand why that's the case. Very interesting. But yeah, as of right now, those are a couple plays that I would go with. Anyway, outside of that, we'll go ahead and we'll continue on. I'm going to throw back up the rankings, and then we'll continue to answer questions as we get closer to the 10 a.m. deadline. I appreciate y'all being patient with me. But while I'm here, let me go ahead and maybe put together those plays right now for myself. Christian Watson, 3.5 receptions. If I go over here to Jamison Williams, where's Mr. JMO here? Where art thou, brother? Here we go. Where did JMO go? I'm so surprised that, oh, there he is. Okay, cool. About to say, I was like, what the heck is this? JMO 3.5 receptions. Yeah, I don't know why it's at a 2.7x. It's kind of a weird circumstance there, but it is what it is. All right, perfect. Continuing on. Sorry about that. I know many of you have sent in questions. I appreciate y'all being patient on the matter. We're going to get to those right now. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw them up on screen as well, just so we're all on the same page as to where I'm at in regards to the questions that are being sent in so that we can effectively answer said questions. So we go ahead and we go back up here. We took care of these questions. Effectively, we took care of all of these. Pure happiness. Took care of that. I'm going Lamar in this circumstance. Again, I like Dak Prescott, but I would probably go Lamar there because I do expect a bounce back here. Then we go to Alex Ruiz, who we answered those questions already. Okay, so we've caught up a lot, actually. So there's only a couple new ones. So Xavier Pert, we took care of. Okay, so we have Tyler Sperry. Tyler, long time no see. I hope you're doing well, brother. Again, long time no see. Again, you've been around the channel for quite some time, a couple years now. Says Aubrey or Fairbairn has hit double digits in 3 straight already. Okay, so again, do not forget, guys, rankings that are on screen are updated as of this morning. So in regards to the kickers that you may be asking about, in regards to like Aubrey and Kaimi Fairbairn, I do in fact have Fairbairn ahead of Aubrey today. So I would lean in the direction of probably playing Fairbairn there against the Indianapolis Colts this week. So yeah, I'll take Fairbairn. Thank you. Raul sends in a question. Says, need full PPR flex, Ibuka, Rico, Wandell, Sutton, and Marks. Of those available options, Wandell Robinson is going to be my number 1. And the only thing that would ever change my mind on that is in the event in which Mayfield plays, and I would play Ibuka instead of him. Thank you. Frank Grillo sends in a question. Says, Gainwell, Tucker, or Marks, pick one. I don't want to play Tucker. I genuinely probably would yeah, I'd probably position myself to play Woody Marks there, because unless we did get a confirmation in which Aaron Rodgers was not going to play, and instead of Aaron Rodgers, it was going to be Mason Rudolph, that's the only reason I would play Gainwell, because I would assume his receiving touches would be as consistent as they've been in the last 2 games. So I'm going to lean towards Woody Marks there. Thank you. Diego TK6 says trade Drake London for Justin Jefferson. I can afford to wait. I could afford to wait for London, but appreciate PCLS decreases performance. PCLs, I'm assuming is what you meant. Yeah. Okay, so here is my overall kind of thought process on the matter. As of right now, JJ McCarthy is in the quote-unquote concussion protocol. Once he returns, it's not going to do Justin Jefferson any favors, to which I feel like I would rather have Drake London in the long term. Otherwise, I would go after another potential wide receiver option, because I don't know if Justin Jefferson is the right purchase or buy for me at this moment. I feel like I would rather go after genuinely a Jalen Waddle at the moment. Like, Jalen Waddle's in a half PPR averaging 14 points per game since Tyreek Hill has gone down, week 5 and beyond. Like, I feel like that kind of production alone is just more solidified than what JJ's producing. To which, if I can go after a Waddle, a McConkey, somebody of that nature, I'd be very much so willing to do that. Now, again, if Drake London is not going to play this week and he's going to miss multiple weeks henceforth after that, it's just purely a matter of, like, when he does return, if he does return, what is he going to provide to you? To which, again, if you can sell him now and get some value out of it, decently enough to where maybe even you can get after players like Adams or AJ Brown or something of that exchange, I don't mind that. Nico Collins, etc. Led sends in a question, says, thanks for wide receiver. What about flex? Thanks, brother. Okay, let me see what you had here in terms of your previous question. Okay, so Parker Washington would be the safest play. If we were looking for a potential flex, I apologize for not being able to call that out. I read the question, but obviously my brain's a little fried here. So in regards to the flex, if we were theoretically going to position ourselves to go after... Okay, so here's my question. Is it only 0.15 per receiving yards? Or is it for all yardage? Is that also apply for rushing yards? If it also applies for rushing yards, I play Kareem Hunt. If it doesn't apply for rushing yards, I probably just play Tetaroa as my flex. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Drippy Dario. What's up, Drippy? He says, my guy, happy Turkey Day. Do I start Love or Dart? I would prefer to play Jackson Dart. Says, then I need 2 wide receivers and 1 flex and a full PPR between Christian Watson, Amon-Ra, Troy Franklin, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Keenan Allen. Thank you. Of those available options, you have to play Amon-Ra, in my opinion, and Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver. And then I would play Troy Franklin as my flex there, Drippy. Thank you. City sends in a question, says, happy Thanksgiving. Questions in the chat. Thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And happy Thanksgiving to all of you in the chat. Again, you guys continue to make what this channel is on a daily basis by contributing to this channel, supporting the channel with your viewership, by clicking the like button, by sending in super chats, by spreading the word and helping us get one step closer to 100,000 subscribers. Again, guys, I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support you guys continue to show me on a daily and weekly basis, and over the course of these multiple years that I've had a blessing of being able to, of course, make fantasy football content as a living. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Your question, City, is who do I start in the flex? Dortch, DK, Mechie, waiver wire pickups, pretty much. Okay. So as of the moment, if Marvin Harrison is going to play, I'm not interested in playing Dortch, to which it would then position me to either playing DK or Mechie. As of right now, DK is still very much so contingent on the availability of other receivers in that offense based on what we do see out of guys like potentially Alec Manor, Calvin Ridley, etc. That could be a pretty big indicating factor as to which way we go here. For now, I would say let's just play John Mechie. But again, in the event in which Marvin Harrison's out, you position to play Dortch. Thank you. As for your next question, okay, we took care of that one. Next, we have Gregory Cruz, 6379, who says, I need a tight end between Gadsden and Juwan Johnson. I'd play Gadsden there. Also, for the flex, Javonte Williams, Quinshon Judkins. I play Javonte Williams there. Also, any word on Devontae Smith's health? Let me go ahead and see if there's any new updates, and then I can go ahead and just kind of relay that to you guys really quickly here. Okay, so the latest on Devontae Smith is the following. So it says Devontae Smith, shoulder, chest, and illness, does not participate in Wednesday's practice. Smith was not seen at practice earlier in the day and is officially been listed as with an illness in addition to the shoulder and chest issues. Adding an illness to at least indicates Smith could have practiced today, but the illness kept him out. Regardless, so that's additional context. I think he's going to play. I feel like if he wasn't going to play, the number one kind of way that we would know that is based on the Vegas line. Okay, so the current spread of that game is 7 points in the favor of the Eagles. I feel like Vegas, if anybody was going to know whether or not Devontae Smith was going to play, would be Vegas. And if they knew, they would shift that line from like -7 to maybe like -5.5, or maybe, maybe he's worth 2.5 points. So I think that would be the biggest indicator. Based on the fact that it hasn't moved, I believe that they know that he's going to play this week. So at that point, I'm not too worried about him. National Champ Rush sends in a question. National Champ, thank you. Says flex, half PPR, Jacoby Myers, Trey Benson, Judy Godwin. As of right now, I'm trying to play Trey Benson. In the event in which he is not available and BTJ is out, I would play Jacoby Myers there. Thank you. Headshop sends in a question. Says, happy days to you, Andrew. Franklin or Odunze rest of season? That's a really tough question, brother. I don't know if Odunze can sustain upcoming matchups against Green Bay twice in like the next 3 weeks here. So for now, I probably position myself to think I want to hope that Odunze can do it, but his incredibly high level of volatility keeps me a little bit sketched out about the potential. I think conventional wisdom would tell me, Andrew, just trust Rome Odunze is going to bounce back here. But ultimately, I feel like the answer is Troy Franklin. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Briango fourth, 2456 says half PPR. Need to fill last two flex spots between Flowers, Shakir, Michael Wilson, and Harvey. Okay. Okay, so between those available options, I would suggest you playing Michael Wilson and RJ Harvey. It says also for quarterback, Stafford, Nix, or Burrow. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I would play Stafford there, as he's going to make the Carolina Panthers look like the Carolina Turkeys, and he's going to carve them up this weekend. Thank you. All righty. Slowly but surely catching up. We're about 2 hours into the live stream, and I would love any sort of... Oh, my goodness, my back. Okay, here we go. Diego says, did you read my super chat? Diego, let me see if I potentially missed it, my brother. Yeah, Diego, I did answer it, but if you potentially missed it because you may have stepped away or you got hit with an ad, those are always possibilities. I did mention that I don't really want to trade for Justin Jefferson at the moment. Again, JJ McCarthy would eventually return. I don't think it's going to be, all rainbows and sunshine when he does return, even though the matchups are incredible against Washington, Dallas, and the New York Giants and Detroit. Even though I love those matchups, it scares the crap out of me. So maybe if I could trade for a Nico Collins, it would be a little bit more enticing for Drake London. But if, again, you said that you could afford to wait for London, I think I'd probably wait for like week 15. In the event in which that is not a possibility and you are just sketched out about it, then you just, you ship off and just hope that Justin Jefferson wakes up, or at least maybe JJ McCarthy wakes up after the concussion. Okay, caught up with that. Good to go. We had Cowboys 95 sends in a question. Says, can you walk me through playing Burrow over Dart? Yeah, okay, so let me explain this really quickly because I mentioned this earlier and I want to go ahead and reiterate. I would play, personally, Dart over Burrow. But the issue is I don't have 100% confirmation that Dart is going to play on Monday. Because he plays Monday and Burrow plays today, when I was going through my projections, objectively, I have Dart projected more points than Burrow. But today, I had to make the call of putting Burrow ahead of Dart because in the event in which we get to Monday and Dart is not available, we're screwed. And I don't want many of you who have Dart on roster to be put in that situation. So that's my overall sketchiness on the scenario. Otherwise, I do prefer to play Dart over Burrow. That's purely because of the rushing upside at which he provides. So that's my thought process, and that's how I came to the conclusion of putting Dart behind Burrow. It's purely just off of the fact that he plays on Monday, and I don't have a clear 100% guarantee that he clears the concussion protocol by then. National Champ Rush sends in a follow-up question. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Says, and for quarterback, who do I start? Purdy, Darnold, or Stroud? As of those available options, let me see where I have them ranked comparatively to one another, and I'll let you know. As of right now, I have Sam Darnold as the highest ranked of those group. So I would play Sam Darnold there. Says, and if BTJ is healthy, still Myers. In the event in which BTJ is healthy and Trey Benson does not play, I would then play Godwin there. Thank you. But you could keep Myers out there. Genuinely, you could, because BTJ would be a lesser option anyway, because coming off of the injury, you would assume he potentially puts up a little bit less of a contribution. Thank you. Lockie in the chat says, Yoshivas, Mechie, or DK, non-PPR. I'd go with Mechie there. Guys, don't forget that John Mechie, if it wasn't for the leukemia that he was diagnosed with in his first year of the NFL career, this guy was a 1,000-yard receiver back in Alabama. Like, this guy is a legitimate talent. And yes, even though his career hasn't really had, a lot of momentum built, he's finally landed in some, position to where he's being given opportunity and he's delivering. And I'm really happy for him, man. It was a rough, scene to see him get drafted and then the diagnosis and all that kind of jazz. That was tough. Anyway, John Wick's dog sends in a question. Says, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you very much, John Wick's dog. Says, quarterback is Allen, May. Wide receivers are JSN, Puka, Debo, Michael Wilson, Godwin. Running backs are Achane, Bijan, Devin Neal, Benson, Harvey. Tight ends are Kittle and Warren. I have one quarterback, two wide receiver, two running back, one tight end, one flex format. Okay, so I'm assuming you want me to set your lineup. To which, this week, I would play Josh Allen at quarterback, followed by JSN and Puka Nacua at wide receiver, followed by Achane and Bijan at running back, followed by Kittle at tight end, and then in the flex position, you've got a lot of incredible options here available. This is the way that I would go about it. If Marvin Harrison was to miss, I'd play Michael Wilson. Otherwise, I'm playing RJ Harvey in the flex. Thank you, John Wick's dog. All right, Led sends in a question. Or Ledesma. Says half PPR flex. Debo Samuel, Kenneth Walker, Rome Odunze, Parker Washington, Kincaid. In a half PPR, I probably play Kenneth Walker out of the group there. Thank you. In the event in which BTJ is out, I may consider playing Parker Washington. Let me see where I have him ranked comparatively real quick. I would consider playing Parker, but I'd probably still stick with Kenneth Walker as the option there. Ledesma. Charlene, what's up? I saw all those kind words you sent prior to the stream beginning. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. Sorry you weren't able to make the playoffs this year. Let's hear Sean Trevino. What's up, Sean? Long time no see, man. Hope you're doing well. It says Gainwell or Sutton in a full PPR. I mean, honestly, we can wait on that. If Aaron Rodgers ends up being the starting quarterback, I think Gainwell's a little bit of a lesser option. You know what I mean? So that's the tough part as of right now. So kind of still waiting to see what the deal is there, whether it's going to be Aaron Rodgers and or Mason Rudolph. With Mason Rudolph, the check down is always open. If you guys remember last season, Tyjae Spears was incredibly valuable late in the season because of Mason Rudolph starting for the Tennessee Titans. All right, let's hear. Go BMX sends in a follow-up. Says PPR, flex 1, Theo Johnson, Jalen Coker, Emmanuel Wilson. I would only play Emmanuel Wilson in the absence of Josh Jacobs, which this is not the case. Jacobs got a full participation in practice, got cleared from the injury report. Theo Johnson's the start there. Go BMX. Thank you. All righty. Burrow, Jones, or Lawrence? I'd rather just play Burrow there. All righty. Let's see here. Just making a quick text message here. Okay, continuing on. Let's see here. Start Debo or Christian Watson? Okay, guys, quick reminder again. The rankings that are right here are updated as of this morning. I've literally not slept in order to make sure that these rankings were complete and at their greatest overall potential for accuracy. Again, I try my very best to provide as great a rankings as I can. And even though I'm not perfect, God, do I bust my ass to bring those in your guys' direction. So again, please try to utilize these rankings to the best of your ability by checking them out on the screen. They're individualized for each position. And hopefully, again, even though we weren't able to produce and put out a quarterback and tight end rankings video for this week, hopefully these rankings can lead you in that direction. Let's see here. Hayden Phoenix says that's one dog you don't mess with. Yeah, John Wick's dog is definitely not the one to mess with. The Baba Yaga will absolutely make you pay. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thank you. Okay, Hive Salon sends in a question. Says flex option, Hunter Henry or Waddle, full PPR. Another Troy Franklin. Okay, so really quickly, if I'm playing Hunter Henry or Jalen Waddle, it's not even remotely close. Hunter Henry has only been relevant recently in this most recent week against Cincinnati, which is the best tight end matchup. So Waddle is clearing away the play. As for your other league, says Troy Franklin, DK Metcalf, or Goddard in the flex full PPR. I'd prefer to play Troy Franklin there in that circumstance. Thank you very much, Hive. Johnny Jersey sends in a question, says half PPR, start DeAndre Swift or Devin Neal. For right now, I'm going to go Devin Neal in that circumstance, assuming he's healthy. Again, he did pop up as questionable yesterday, so we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer to Sunday. Jamison Williams or Bucky Irving, I'd prefer to continue to roll. Well, actually, it's a really good question. Now that I think about it, with Bucky Irving getting a full participation of practice yesterday, I think Bucky Irving's the answer there. Somebody was asking, was his Fly Fam says Jaden Higgins or Keenan Allen. I know that Keenan Allen is probably not ranked on screen, and that's probably on purpose. As of yesterday's wide receiver rankings video, Jaden Higgins was in my top 43 rankings. Keenan Allen is outside of that ever so slightly, so I would go with Jaden Higgins there. Hoping for touchdown upside, of course. Let's see here. What else we have? Wan'Dale Robinson or Bucky Irving? It depends on scoring format. Only in a full PPR would I take Wan'Dale Robinson there. Otherwise, I have to play Bucky. In a full participation against Arizona, it just feels like it's too easy of a matchup for me there. Okay, let's see here. What else we have? Billy, what's up, my man? Says, hey, Andrew, big fan. Happy Thanksgiving. Pick two of the following. It says, in a non-PPR, we've got Debo, Parker Washington, Kenneth Walker, or Christian Watson. Listen, in a non-PPR scoring format, I feel like I have to chase touchdowns at that point, to which I feel like all of them are capable of it, right? Like Christian Watson 2 weeks ago scored 2 tutties. Debo Samuel scored a touchdown each of the last 2 games. Parker Washington has been very, very, very much so red zone friendly. And Kenneth Walker, technically as of late, with the receiving contributions and scoring a touchdown recently and getting goal line opportunities, I feel like everyone is capable. But in this circumstance, just off of chasing yardage, considering the touchdown potential is so difficult to predict, I probably end up positioning myself to play Kenneth Walker there first and foremost. And then I probably end up trying to play Debo Samuel. Genuinely. Thank you. Otherwise, you could end up waiting and seeing if BTJ doesn't end up playing, you play Parker in there. Herberto sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, standard, Lamar or Stafford? I'd rather play. I mean, look, as of right now, the rankings are on screen. So I would go in the direction of playing Lamar Jackson. As for your next question, it says pick 3, Adunze, Hampton, Rice, Dowdle, and McMillan. I would play Rashee Rice. I would play probably Rico Dowdle, and then most likely Rome Adunze, as I just don't know the status of Hampton and whether he's going to be in a split backfield or at a full capacity. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Kareem Hunt or Bucky Irving? I have Bucky Irving one spot ahead of Kareem Hunt, so I'd probably continue to go in that direction. Hunt, Bucky, Adunze, pick 2 half PPR. I play both running backs there, yellow. Start DeAndre Swift or Devin Neal. I'm going to take Devin Neal there. Johnny Jersey. With Hampton's current status, would you wait him out or flex Hunt? I would just play Hunt. again, as of right now, the position at where I have Hampton ranked on screen, which it's going to pop up right here in a moment after the Patreon ad rolls out. Where I currently have him is under the assumption that he plays. And that's not even a guarantee. I have him at number 28, and I have Trey Benson at number 27, because I'm willing to right now play any of these other players ahead of them until I get a clear indication. Again, it's Thursday. It's not a Sunday morning. We're not in 100% clarity. So at the moment, I would rather play any of those other running backs ahead of them, which includes someone like Kareem Hunt later today against the Dallas Cowboys run-stop defense that has been better in the last couple weeks here. But still, the touchdown upside for Kareem Hunt is just so much so baked in to the weekly offense of the Chiefs. Thank you, Frost. Tyrone Tracy or Christian Watson in the flex, Rodgers or Kirk Cousins or Tua as my QB2. I would go with Tua as the QB2. As for the available alternative, I would probably play Christian Watson in a full PPR, probably Tracy in a half. Let's see here. Godimus sends in a question, says, would you play Love over T-Law this week? I probably wouldn't. I think I prefer to play Trevor Lawrence. And Goatwords sends in a question, says, full PPR, start one between Tracy, Jennings, and BTJ. It's probably going to be Tracy. The only reason I would ever pivot off of that is if, in fact, we had some sort of injury news regarding another player within 49ers or Jaguars offense. I think Tracy's my preferred of the bunch. Thank you. Especially at the rate at which he is touching the ball of late, and of course his receiving utilization. I feel like there's just a lot of value there. And additionally, this season, the Giants have been an absolute, just like, they're a badass team. Despite how bad their defense is and despite how much money they spend on that defense this season, they compete against good football teams. So it's definitely going to be an exciting matchup there on Monday, regardless of the fact that they're taking on a very good New England Patriots team. All right, let's see here. Emmanuel Wilson now droppable? I wouldn't say so. Again, if you have Josh Jacobs on roster, I feel like keeping Emmanuel Wilson is necessary just in case as an insurance policy. Let's see here. Isaac Smith says, is it justifiable to play Christian Watson over AJ Brown just because of the game environment? Full PPR already clinched the playoffs. When you say the environment, do you mean like the weather? Like let me see the weather in Philly tomorrow. There's only a 5% chance of rain in terms of coverage, so I'm not too worried about that. I think I'd still play AJ Brown there. I don't know if it's justifiable. Like, if you look at the overall offense for the Eagles, they can't run the football. So I feel like they have to commit to continue to pass the ball, which I think it just promotes more opportunities for AJB, especially with Devontae Smith dealing with his injury. And so is Saquon. I feel like everything points in the direction of AJB having another great week here. Man, my knee hurts. I don't know how to... Ow, I got to get up off this chair. Okay, Joseph Mai says, hey, Andrew, I have an urgent question. All right, let's see what you have here, Joseph. Nothing's in the chat, or I'll just wait for you to type that in. Okay, so again, a quick reminder, guys. Hope you guys are having a wonderful early morning Thursday on this Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, spending time with others, or, of course, getting in some good meals, whichever way it is, whether it is on a dinner table or whether it is at a ramen spot. It doesn't matter. As long as we're getting good eats and we're watching football today, that's all that matters. That's really just what this day is for. Again, we're going to continue to answer questions for the next 40 minutes here. My brain is very much so falling apart as I have had 0 hours of sleep, but I'm trying my very best. I see somebody ask... already went over picks today. I can go ahead and share them right now. Let me just go ahead and pop them up on screen right now, and we can go ahead and go over them. If any of you have any suggestions in terms of plays, again, I haven't really had too much time this week thus far to go ahead and look at potential plays. I'll probably do that for tomorrow and Saturday's live streams because, again, I've been so heavily focused on completing the rankings for today's stream thus far. Again, that's been the number one priority, but specifically looking at... Okay, specifically looking at the plays that I've put together so far this morning, Rashee Rice more than 65.5 receiving yards, Jamar Chase more than 79.5 receiving yards. And then we went ahead and we took more than 3.5 receptions on both Christian Watson and Jameson Williams. So those are the two that I like. In terms of other potential plays, I mean, genuinely speaking, I feel like there should be a reality in which this man throws for 2 touchdowns, but it's just like there's not an advantageous point there, to which I feel like maybe it's rather a position to where we're taking him on passing yardage. Ultimately has done this on a quite frequent rate against one of the best matchups at the position as of late. It could be a potential play there in regards to someone like Mahomey. But again, those are the plays that we've put together as of right now. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and let's put back up on screen the rankings. Continuing on. All right, we had a couple super chats that were sent in, so let me go ahead and let me address those really quickly. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel in that regard. Okay, Kills Him Style says, ranked back-to-back, inside on Dak or Herbert. Yeah, look, here's the reality of the situation. I think both of them are in advantageous positions. I think the Herbert overall question right now, because I don't know the status of Hampton, it leaves it a little bit kind of like in flux and still to be determined. Because I don't know whether or not Hampton's going to be at a full capacity, I do think that if Hampton is there at a full capacity, it does diminish Herbert because there could lead to a potential rushing touchdown. So for right now, a little bit sketched out about it. I think I'd just rather play Dak as he's a part of one of the best offenses in the league right now. Andrew Mitchell says in a question, says, with a 6-point bonus at 300 yards passing, Jones or Caleb rest of season? I really, really cannot emphasize enough how much I really like Daniel Jones' schedule for the fantasy playoffs. Thank you. Dustin sends in a question. Dustin Whitman says, Tetaroa, Ladd, or Javonte this week? Sorry, I typed it wrong before. Thank you. Bye week on the line. If I was going to play one of these options, assuming we're in a full PPR, Ladd McConkey's in my starting role. Thank you. Moving on to Brett McCoy. Brett, thank you very much. Says PPR, Dart or Burrow? I prefer to play Dart, but I don't know if he's playing on Monday. So if you have an opportunity of picking up Winston and having the backup availability of that option, then sure, we go in that direction. Otherwise, if you cannot wait until Monday and until we know whether or not Dart is actually going to be cleared of the concussion protocol, I'm playing Burrow as of today. Pick 2, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Shakir, and Javonte. In this circumstance, I probably end up playing Javonte Williams, and then I try to figure out who's playing between those Arizona Cardinals receivers by the time we get to this upcoming Sunday. And depending on if, in fact, Marvin Harrison's active, I'll roll with him. Otherwise, I'll play Michael Wilson there. Thank you. Armani sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Start 1 between Woody Marks, Jameer DK, Alec Pearson, Keenan Allen. Woody Marks as my starter there. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? I'm already losing my voice. Oh, man, what a rough morning. I just want to like fall asleep right here. I can just close my eyes and fall asleep. That is how much I am ready for this game to kick off. Somebody was asking Quentin Johnson or Christian Watson. I prefer to play Christian Watson there. Yeah, I feel a little bit more comfortable in that direction. What does that say? Jamison Williams, Kareem Hunt, or RJ Harvey? PPR. I have to play RJ Harvey there against Washington. Too advantageous of a position. I mean, just way too advantageous. Okay, Joseph Mai was saying, in a 10-team league, do I drop Caleb or Purdy for JD5, then hope that JD5 plays next week? Brissett is also on the waivers. 2 goes through tomorrow. Okay, so this is my suggestion. I would suggest you pick up Jacoby Brissett and you drop Purdy this week. And you play Jacoby Brissett over the alternative options you have. And then if you can theoretically pick up, okay, so this is actually my actual suggestion, Joseph Mai. So this is how you should approach. If you have an open IR spot available, you drop Purdy, you pick up Jaden Daniels, and you put him on your IR. Then subsequently after you move them to IR, you'll open up a bench spot, you pick up Brissett, and you start him this week. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Andrew forgot to ask. I need a tight end in a full PPR with high ceiling. Strange or Gadsden? I would go with Gadsden there. I think Strange doesn't have as much touchdown upside, so the ceiling is not going to be as high. Says Andrew, please help trade Pickens and Kyron for Harvey and Puka. No, I think I'd rather keep Pickens and Kyron. Thank you. Ronald says, can you help a brother out? Where are y'all watching the Lions versus Packer game? If you don't have Fox, I wouldn't know, brother. I have YouTube TV. As a YouTuber, I have to promote YouTube TV. Not really, actually. I would love that. I'd love a sponsorship from YouTube themselves, but as a YouTuber myself, the volume of times in which I just, YouTube TV is just easy. That's all I can say. Not a hashtag ad. Not at all. Thank you. Continuing on. Let's see here. 1 p.m. PPR flex JMO, Neal, Pierce, Tucker, Henry, or Hampton. I'm going to go with JMO there probably because I don't know the status of Hampton going into the week. Sutton or Ibuka this week? I'd rather play Ibuka, regardless of quarterback. Henny Otto says Franklin, Harvey, or Woody. I would play Harvey there. Thank you. Johnny 717 or 617, sorry. Andre Yoshibas or DJ Moore? I'll play DJ Moore there. Thank you. Spaghetti sends in a question. Thank you very much. Spaghetti says Jamison Williams, Jaden Higgins, Rico Dowdle, Ricky Pearsall, Mark Andrews, Jake Ferguson, half PPR, one tight end, one wide receiver, one flex. Okay, the tight end should be Mark Andrews. The wide receiver should be Jamison Williams, and the flex should be Rico Dowdle. Thank you very much, Spaghetti. Kenny J45 sends in a question. Kenny, thank you. Says in a half PPR, pick one wide receiver, one flex. Watson, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Aaron Jones, Gainwell, Higgins, Washington, Henry. Okay, so under the assumption, so here's the issue which you currently have. We don't know the outright status of both Watson and Harrison, right? For if they were both going to be active, I think I'd play them both over everyone else you have. So genuinely, I think that you could go about it one of two ways. You can play Christian Watson today and then play whichever one of the two, Harrison or Wilson, later this week. Or you can just hold out and play Marvin Harrison or Michael Wilson. And in the event in which Marvin Harrison doesn't play again this week, you just play Michael Wilson and Parker Washington, which honestly I feel like is a consistent, very solid play and approach this week. Thank you. Marvin Lewis, what's up, brother? Says Ramondre Stevenson has been dropped. Is he worth picking up? Not technically, no. Unless you want him for handcuff purposes, I don't think it's worth it. Shakir or Watson, full PPR. I'm going to go with Shakir there because of the full PPR aspect and the fact that, again, Kincaid did not practice on Wednesday, making it a little bit more available for Shakir to get targets. All right, Demond Smith sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Says, happy Thanksgiving, bro. In a full PPR, I have Hampton in 2 leagues. Would you start him over Odunze and Mooney? I would play him over Mooney, but not over Odunze. Thank you. I would have to see him get a full participation of practice by Friday for me to feel more confident in playing him over Odunze, who plays against Philly, who has a lot of secondary injuries as of the moment. Toy Maestro sends in a question. Says, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Says full PPR, Josh Allen or Dak Prescott. I would play Josh Allen. Javonte Williams or Rico Dowdle or Jaylen Warren or Parker Washington for the flex. Okay, so in terms of those available flexible options between Rico, Javonte, Jaylen, and Parker Washington, as of this moment, I feel like the best play of the bunch probably ends up being Javonte Williams there. I think there is a conversation to be had regarding Jaylen Warren, but again, I'm not 100% certain as to what his status will be with the usage that we've seen from Kenneth Gainwell of late. So Javonte is going to be the inside tracked player there. Javonte and Josh Allen are my suggestions there, Toy. Thank you. Youngberg 5 sends in a question. Says Genty or Michael Wilson full PPR. I would only ever play Michael Wilson over Ashton Genty this week in the event in which Marvin Harrison is out. Otherwise, Genty gets the start. Thank you. All right. Precaution 9294 says in a full PPR, RJ Harvey or Tyler Warren. It's not close. I'm playing RJ Harvey this week. Thank you. Abuka or Dowdle half PPR. I think it depends on Mayfield's status. If Mayfield's in, I'll play Abuka. Otherwise, I probably roll with Dowdle. Harvey, Bucky, Judkins, Rico sit one in a full PPR. I probably end up sitting Judkins there. Thank you. All righty. Slowly but surely. All right. Where are we at here in terms of some other questions? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Joseph Mai. Thanks for the advice. It says in another league, Dart or Baker on my roster, should I drop any of them for JD5? Like, I feel like there's a lot of injury there. Like, can we put JD5 in the IR? If we can, then sure, I'd be willing to swap Baker for him real quick and then just roll with Dart until further notice. That's cool with me. But if Dart doesn't play, you need to find another alternative pickup option by the time we get to this upcoming Sunday, you know? Let's see here. H. Tim's 3,500. It says traded Tetaroa for Hampton in a full PPR. My running backs are trade work, CMC, Hunt, Aaron Jones. Wide receivers are Devontae Adams, Nuke. No, that's not Nuke. Nico, Pittman, Michael Wilson, and Tetaroa. Yeah, I mean, look, as of right now, I think it's a solid trade. You have enough wide receiver depth to justify it, and I think bringing in Hampton for the fantasy playoff stretch to fill in for Hunt and Aaron Jones is the appropriate decision. I think that was a great move on your end. Knicks or Dak this week? I prefer to play. I mean, honestly, I think both are great plays, but I prefer to play Dak. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see here. Devin Neal or JMO? I'd rather just play JMO there. Happy Thanksgiving, says Jerome Hill. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, sir. Corey, what's up? Says Chase Brown or Justin Jefferson. Okay, you know what I need to do? I need to move this up because I'm looking down near the bottom of this monitor. I'm going to move it there so it's in my eye line. Okay, let's see here. Chase Brown or Justin Jefferson in the flex. I'd rather play Chase Brown there. Happy Thanksgiving, Corey. Quarterbacks to play, Love, Darnold, or Caleb. As of right now, the order in which I have it ranked is Darnold, Caleb, Love. That's the way I'd go about it. See, Dennis. Thank you. Oh, my God. Daniel Jones. Do you guys see that news? You guys see that, right? Daniel Jones suffered a fractured fibula. We're joking, right? When did that happen? Does that mean we're picking up Anthony Richardson? What's Anthony Richardson's timeline, guys? Brother could be fantasy relevant. Let me tell you something. Hold up. I gotta go. Give me a second, everybody. I gotta go do my my due diligence. I gotta go pick up some players here. Let me see if I can go scoop Anthony Richardson. He might be on the IR still. I might be able to throw him into my IR slot real quick. What is this? My roster is full. I need to drop a play. Brother, there's no way my roster's effing full. What? Oh, okay, that's why. Okay. That's fine. We can do this. I gotta be quick at it. Hold up, guys. Give me a second. Done. Got him. Says he practiced full today. Fake news? Really? Says it right now as of 51 seconds ago. Jones will continue to try to play through it. Damn it. I mean, come on, Rappaport. Brother. Okay, well, you know what? I didn't do anything crazy. I picked him up for free. I picked up Anthony Richardson for free just in case. I threw him on my IR. Not a big deal. We're fine. Again, the report as of 2 minutes ago was Daniel Jones has been dealing with a lower leg injury, suffered a fractured fibula, sources say. He was a full participant today. One source said he looked good. Jones will continue to play through it. Toughness never questioned. Okay, great. Fantastic. I don't give a shit. I wanted to know whether or not he was injured, and they literally just told me information just for a headline's sake. That was pretty effed up. I'm going to say that was effed up. But I will say if he did actually fracture his fibula, I mean, brother's got to be in a lot of pain. Like a hairline fracture's got to be legitimately like a pain tolerance. Maybe they're doing Toradol before the game. But I don't know. Does Toradol work for bone injuries? I'm not sure, guys. I'm not a painkiller expert. Thank you. Bro really picked up Anthony Richardson? Absolutely, I did. Listen, guys, let me tell you something about Anthony Richardson. As bad as he was last season, okay, there were still games in fantasy where the guy was dropping 30 fantasy points, okay? So there's still something out there for him. I'm telling you. But let me tell you. I will also precursor explain. The league in which I play in is a super flex. Okay, so I'm not picking him up in a 1 QB league. You have to understand that. In a super flex league where I have to start Trevor Lawrence, I understand that I need to avoid playing him against Denver upcoming ahead. Thank you. So I'm in a desperate situation. Okay. All right, continuing on. I know there was a couple of super chats sent in. I got distracted there. We had a super chat sent in from where are we at? All right, this is from Such a Virgo who says, full PPR, flex 2, Jameson Williams, Franklin, Monungai, Neal, or Tucker. Yeah, as of right now, I think the best option, Virgo, would be to play both Jameson Williams and Troy Franklin. Those are two of the best options because of the reception, obvious, like kind of advantageous position they're in because of the full PPR format. And additionally, they're both very much so relevant in the touchdown category. So I think those are your two best play. Jameson Williams, Troy Franklin. Thank you, Virgo. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow? I prefer to play Joe Burrow this week. Thank you. Coin flipping, starting Adams and or Pickens in a guillotine league. Yeah, you can coin flip it, brother. I mean, I think they're both fantastic plays this week. I don't think you'll have a disappointment from either. Not a fractured fibula. D'Angelo said he's not concerned about it and playing against Kansas City. Yeah. Again, all I'm reporting is what I read from Ian Rappaport. That's it. I was just filtering down the information that was displayed as of the NFL Network. So I thought it was a new injury. I thought it was something like he fractured it earlier this morning throughout practice, and then because of that, like I thought it was a new thing where it's like, oh, he's gonna be out for you know what I mean? But instead it was just like they're going for how do I explain this? They were going for clicks. Thank you. And they got my ass on that. T-Flex 1994 sends it a question. Thank you very much. T-Flex says Javonte Williams or Woody Marks or Omarion Hampton if healthy in a full PPR. I think you can't wait to know whether or not like Omarion Hampton is ready to go because you can't wait because we don't know until probably Friday. It's probably in your best interest to just roll Javonte today. Joey says, you said you weren't sure on the status of Watson. Is he injured? Did I say Watson? Again, guys, I'm running on 0 hours of sleep legitimately, so I'm not sure. Maybe I meant somebody else. Did I say Watson? Did I mean Hampton? I don't know. May or Lamar Jackson? You should probably just roll Lamar out there. But if you were worried about Lamar, I think Drake May is a perfect alternative option. Alrighty. Chat is kind of slowed down as of late, huh? DJ Moore or Jaden Higgins? I'd rather just play DJ Moore there. Let's hear. Hi, Andrew. With Bucky being on a snap count per coaching staff, is it safer to start Charbonnet instead in a standard scoring league? I think it could be. I think it also depends on the status of Mayfield. Once we get closer to Sunday, we'll have a better idea. But I think there is an argument to be made that Charbonnet could be safer in a standard league, 0 points per reception, because Charbonnet can come away with a touchdown, 60 yards, and be incredibly relevant, if not more valuable. But I do expect for Bucky Irving to be very much so of value. So I'm not too worried about him. RJ Harvey or Chase Brown? I prefer Chase Brown this week. Tyrone Tracy, Watson, or Gainwell? I think it depends on format. If we're playing in a full PP, I just probably end up rolling with Watson there. Otherwise, half PP, probably just Tracy. Happy Thanksgiving. Should I drop Jake Bates for Jason Myers? I'm worried about... Listen, Jake... Just a quick reminder, Jason Myers is the #1 kicker in fantasy. Just putting it out there. So yes, I would make the swap. Yoshi Boss or Jacoby Myers? I'd only feel comfortable playing Jacoby Myers there if BTJ was out. Otherwise, I think you probably roll Yoshi, but you won't know that until later tonight. So keep an eye on the overall practice status of BTJ. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Vomsi. Sends in a question, says full PPR. Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, Woody Marks, Wanda Robinson, Pickens, Tetaroa, Michael Wilson, Mark Andrews, Fannin. Pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Vomsy. I'm playing Chase Brown and Derrick Henry at running back. I am going to play George Pickens and Wanda Robinson at wide receiver. I'm playing Mark Andrews as my tight end. And my flex position is going to consist of Michael Wilson in the event in which Marvin Harrison is out. Otherwise, probably going to be... No, it's probably going to be Michael Wilson regardless of any situation here. Michael Wilson gets the start. Thank you. The Recovery 716 says, Happy Thanksgiving. Gadsden or Strange full PPR? I prefer to go Gadsden there. Thank you, brother. Moving on to a question from BBSK6, who says, Ferguson, Tracy, Sutton, Pearsall, Charbonnet, or Troy Franklin flex full PPR. Of those available options, I feel most comfortable rolling with Troy Franklin there. Thank you. Matthew Lowe, 3938, says, Happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. No questions. Just want to express thanks for all that you do, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much, Matthew. Greatly appreciated, my man. Thank you. 26 Band Up sends in a question. 26, what's up? Says, should I drop Goddard or Gadsden for Strange? I wouldn't mind in a PPR dropping Goddard for Strange, but again, Goddard is going to be more touchdown relevant. Ultimately, I don't think you're going to play either of the two over Gadsden per se. So you could, but it's not necessary. Goff or Darnold, I have them back-to-back. Goff one spot ahead. Do you ever dream about football? Yes, I do. Multiple times do I dream about players scoring touchdowns. And yeah, it's all the time. More often than not, they're nightmares. Like I'll see a dream where like a player scores a touchdown. And I was like, oh my God, I ranked him so low. What was I thinking? You know, like, and more than anything, it's nightmares. I don't really ever have like dreams per se. Everything that I dream is like worst case scenario for your boy. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Omega. Thank you very much. It says, Happy Thanksgiving, GOAT. Drop love for Lawrence. I would be willing to do that. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see here. Dro, what's up? It says 1 wide receiver, 2 flex between Sutton, Tet, Olave, Waddle, Genty, Warren, and Harvey. Listen, brother, of the available options you have, at wide receiver, I'm playing Waddle, and at flex, I'm playing Genty and Harvey. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Dro. McLaughlin or Boswell remainder of season? Depending on what Mayfield's status is, I think it's a little bit up in the air. Otherwise, I'm thinking it's Boswell for now. Let's see here. Dr. K. Dragon says, start 2 of 3, Rome, Marvin Harrison, Gadsden. I think it's 100% determined on Marvin Harrison's status. If he's available, then I play him. And I probably pair him up with Rome Odunze. And the only reason I wouldn't roll Rome in there is if, in fact, all of the secondary members of the Eagles are back and healthy. At that point, I would just play Marvin Harrison and Gadsden. Thank you. Lon says, I dream of being a receiver catching touchdowns. Oh, no, but I would never. Yeah, listen, as someone who played offensive defensive line, non-existent in the overall subconscious category of my dream state. Not going to happen. I'm going to say LMAO, dreaming about fantasy players scoring touchdowns. Been there too. Tried to ride that dream into IRL and it didn't actually happen. Listen, a couple weeks ago, you know how I was so high on Pat Freiermuth against Cincinnati? Besides the fact that the matchup was incredible, I had a dream about Freiermuth that week scoring a touchdown. So like I thought it was going to happen because earlier this year I had a dream about Josh Downs scoring a touchdown and he did in that week. So I thought I was a prophet for a little bit and then I came back down to reality. Thank you. Scullin, what's up? Says, I have Bills defense. They've been average, but some good games coming up. Should I drop them for the Steelers defense? I mean, do I love the Steelers defense? No, but again, they do make a lot of fantasy points to happen, so I don't mind the overall swap there. Kilo says, in a full PPR flex, Flowers, Abuka, or Bucky, pick one, thanks. I think it's dependent on Mayfield's status. If Mayfield plays, it's Abuka. If he sits out, it's probably Bucky. Yeah, that's probably the way I go. All right, Big sends in a question. Says, Happy Thanksgiving, Andrew. Thankful for your genuine kindness. Take care. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Glad to help in any single way. And of course, thank you guys for, of course, joining us on this wonderful Thursday morning. Typically, we don't do a Thursday morning live stream, but again, for those of you who were able to join us this morning, thank you. I greatly appreciate your guys' support as we typically, of course, live stream here as often as I can. But this is typically a Sunday morning experience. But the fact that you guys were here today, I greatly appreciate that, as you guys are typically here all the time for this channel. Speaking of the channel, guys, again, where are we at right now in terms of subs? I think we're so close. Like in terms of total sub count, yeah, 98.8 almost down the horizon here. Again, we are in the home stretch. I don't know if we'll hit it this season. Maybe it'll just be something that we'll look forward to next year, but definitely getting close there in terms of that. Stu, what's up? Says, I know you said Wilson bench one. Huh? Well, no, look, I only said that because you didn't want to play Wan'Dale Robinson. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I do believe that my preferred play would be Wan'Dale Robinson there. And then we can figure out Bucky Irving versus Michael Wilson as we get later into the week in regards to the potential of Marvin Harrison's status. Stu, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Swollen says, pick up Troy and flex him over Sutton, JMO, and Pierce. I would flex him over Sutton and Pierce, but not over JMO. Actually, you know what? Yes, I would flex him over everybody because it's a full PPR. Yes, I would, Swollen. Hey, man, happy Thanksgiving. I'm in a tough pickle because I don't know if Marvin Harrison plays this week. I have Dobbs and Yoshi Voss. Who would you give the start today between the two? I would give it to Yoshi. Full PPR, Franklin or Wilson if Harrison plays. I would go Franklin there. Actually, no. I probably still... No, I'd still play Michael Wilson. It's the number one wide receiver matchup. I'd still play Michael Wilson. Apologies. Flex Marvin Harrison or Harvey. I'm going to play Harvey regardless of anything, whether he plays or not. You should make videos on your dreams rankings. Yeah, that would be a good one, huh? That's the thing. Majority of the dreams I have, I barely remember anyway, so it's going to be a little bit of a blurry kind of experience. Rest of year, Dart, Caleb, or Purdy? I prefer Dart rest of season, assuming the rushing upside continues to stay consistent. Ted H07 says PPR Hunt or Tracy. I prefer Hunt. Wan'Dale Robinson or Nico Collins. As of right now, I'll lean towards Wan'Dale there. Until further notice on the overall. Actually, regardless of who plays quarterback for the Giants, I'm leaning towards Wan'Dale Robinson there. Quick question, Pats or Dolphins defense? Again, guys, quick reminder, the updated rankings for defenses are over there. My Patriots, my Dolphins... actually, hold on. Wait, let's pull this up really quickly just so we're on the same page. So the Dolphins defense is my number 9. Patriots are not even ranked. So do with that what you will. Thank you. Alrighty. Continuing on. What does it say? Drop Emmanuel Wilson for Troy Franklin. If you don't have Josh Jacobson, yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. I can't even believe that Troy Franklin's still available in your league, brother. After waivers ran. Phil sends in a question. Says, Worthy or Mooney in the flex? I'd prefer to play Worthy. Absolutely. Derek says, looking for the flex and a half PPR and a must-win for the playoffs. Do I start Zach Charbonnet, Parker Washington, Sutton, or Strange? I think it's dependent on a couple factors. If, in fact, we do have Brian Thomas Jr. out, I just play Parker Washington there. Otherwise, I could justify just going Sharps and just going after the touchdown upside. Trey Benson or Kenny G? When you say Kenny G, do you mean Kenny Golladay? Because I don't know any other Kenny G's off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest. Kenneth Gainwell, never mind. I figured it out. If Trey Benson's active and gets a full participation of practice by Friday, I'd play Trey Benson. There's just too much opportunity share in that backfield for us to pass up on that opportunity. Hey, Andrew, happy Thanksgiving. Cheers to another year of football. Hampton or Hunt? I would legitimately, because I don't know the status of Hampton this week, I just play Hunt. Michael Wilson or Javonte Williams, full PPR? I think regardless of whether or not Marvin Harrison plays, I'm playing Michael Wilson. Wan'Dale Robinson or Hall in the flex, full PPR? I feel really confident in the potential of playing Breece Hall this week. Let me see where I have him comparatively to Wan'Dale Robinson real quick. As of right now, between the two of them, I do have Brees Hall ranked higher. Thank you. Ted or Jameson? I'd rather play JMO. I just dropped Emmanuel Wilson for Franklin and flexing him over Pittman. Yeah, that works. Again, Pittman has a really tough matchup. I'd hate the idea of playing him against Stingley and Lassiter. Pick up Strange and play him over Dallas or Alec Pierce. I would be willing to pick him up and play him over Dallas Goedert. That works for me. Now, I will say, in the event in which Devontae Smith doesn't play tomorrow, Dallas Goedert gets a huge uptick. Shakir, Watson, or Gainwell? Shakir, Watson, Gainwell. Depends on scoring format. If it's a full PPR, give me Shakir. I think if it's a half PPR, we could discuss it being Watson. And probably we could. Jacobs or Brees Hall? I like them both, but I have Jacobs ranked higher. Devin Neal or Watson in the flex? I prefer Watson. Play Trey Benson if he plays over JMO, Troy, Sutton, JMO. In the event in which Trey Benson gets a full aspect of the overall utilization, I'd consider it. But for right now, considering I don't know his status, I think I have to play JMO considering he plays today. Dilo, what's up? Says AK, man, I'm really nervous about Montgomery, but my other options are Tootin and Ramondre, Los Camara. Yeah, you have to pretty much play Montgomery there unless Devin Neal is a potential pickup there. Happy Thanksgiving. I have Watson, Jameson, and Devontae Smith. I need one. Do I roll with the dice on Devontae Smith? I mean, as of right now, if you need to play one, no, you don't roll the dice on Devontae Smith. You just play Watson or JMO, and you just forget about Devontae this week because it's too sketchy. Because at that point, what are you going to pivot to, you know? Strange or Schultz? I prefer Schultz. I have them back-to-back or very close on my rankings on screen. Thank you. Pittman or Mark Andrews? I genuinely rather play Mark Andrews. Can you name two defenses to stream rest of the season? One for this week and another to juggle. I mean, I think it depends on a couple factors. Again, the rankings that I have on screen for defenses could maybe give you an idea as to a defensive streaming option. Otherwise, from weeks 15 through 17, I think the Buccaneers are the best streaming defense for those 3 weeks as they take on like New Orleans, Carolina, and another Garbo team in the later weeks. So that's obviously an opportunity which we can cash in on, theoretically speaking. Hampton or Neal? If Hampton's healthy and he's at a full practice participation by Friday, I'd like to play him. Dilo, thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Anybody else here rip sports trading cards? I've never done so. Seems like it would be fun though. Judkins or Tet in the flex? I'd honestly prefer to probably go Judkins in a half PPR. Yoshi, Dobbs, or Myers full PPR? Thanks. I would wait and see if Myers can get some run. Mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes? Both, brother. Again, somebody asked me this question earlier. Andrew, would you rather have ham or turkey? There's no ors. I'm having both. No, but if I had to choose, man, as long as it's not like yams, if it's actual sweet potato, then we're good. Especially with a little bit of brown sugar on top. Brother, that is, sheesh. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Ham or turkey for flex? As of right now, I feel like ultimately ham is the better flex. It has more consistency. Again, it's always going to be, great in terms of whether you eat it as a leftover or whether you eat it on the day of. So it's just got more potential for longevity in that regard as well. So honestly, yeah, it's just been more consistent over the years. So we got to roll with that. You don't have Santos. Sorry, you don't think Santos is good this week? My only concern about Santos. Wait, where do I have Santos? I thought I had him ranked. Oh, he's my number 14. That's why. Yeah, I moved him ever so slightly outside. He's my number 14 kicker. Can he justify jumping over these alternatives? Yeah, I think he could. By the time we get to the next live stream, probably Sunday morning, he'll be in that list. Fried turkey, that would be delicious. Kareem Hunt or Christian Watson in the flex? I'd prefer to play Kareem Hunt probably. Andrew, hope you have a great day. I hopefully catch a nap or two. Yeah, we're going to definitely have a nice long nap here ahead. Thank you. Judkins or Tet in a full PPR? Probably going to play Tet there in a full. Let's hear full PPR sit one. running backs are this. My wide receivers are okay. 2 flex between those options. Okay, so Rico and Barkley are going to be the auto plays there. I'm probably going to end up sitting Myers and probably sitting Flowers and play Judkins and Wilson. But considering it's a full PPR, maybe we do. No, I don't know. I think the play is probably like Barkley, Rico, Flowers, and Wilson, and we sit Judkins and Flowers and Myers. Excuse me. Is colluding acceptable at any point in the season? No, I don't understand why you would ever collude. It's not like, listen. Here's the reality of the situation. Unless you're like in a league that's like unless you're playing in a league in which you just I just don't know what the incentive would be to like to collude. It doesn't make any sense. Carlos says Rome or Bucky at the flex full PPR. If Mayfield plays, I probably play Bucky. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have an idea. Because here's the thing about like colluding in fantasy football. Like, it's never that serious to like, because this is the thing. If you cheat, like in my league, my friendship with you is like just it's in shambles. It's done. So I would never think that like cheating in fantasy football is more important than the relationships I have with the friends that I play with. You know what I mean? So like I just don't understand the why you would ever do it. You know, it just feels like it's so scummy to do. You know, so I just don't get it. Do you think trades should be vetoed and allowed to trade fab dollars? Fab dollars should be allowed and veto should never happen. Very occasionally should it ever happen. If Mayfield plays, him or Lawrence, I would still rather play Lawrence. Actually, no. In the event in which Mayfield... Well, look, here's the thing. I'd probably give Mayfield a week even if he plays because I'd be afraid maybe he leaves the game again at halftime because of a shoulder. So I'd probably just roll with Lawrence just to be safe. Start 2, Dak, Stafford, Brissett. I have Stafford and Dak as my 2 highest there. Kilo says, can we revisit this question, Andrew? In a full PPR, I have ETN, Cook starting. Running backs are Nico, Flowers, and wide receivers are wide receiver and flex we have Ibuka. Bench is Bucky, Judkins, and Sutton. Says, who would you have in the starting lineup? So looking at your team, when you have ETN and Cook, okay, you have Nico, Flowers. So this is what I would do. I would go Nico and Ibuka at wide receiver. And instead of Flowers in the flex, I would play Bucky there. So I'd go, again, ETN, Cook, Nico, Ibuka, and Bucky. Those are the guys that I would prefer. Thank you. Do you pick up Troy if you have Sutton? I still do, because I think Troy's the number 1 of that offense. All right, y'all. I think my brain has pretty much called it personally. So I appreciate y'all coming through. Again, very much so thankful for you guys continuing to support the channel as you guys do on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, by, of course, showing up, chatting, shooting the shit with me, talking all things fantasy football, whether it is in the live stream comments, whether it is in the regular comments, whether it is just clicking the like button. Whatever you guys do to support the channel, it is greatly appreciated. Again, I thank you guys enough. You guys know how appreciative I am of your guys' continued support. But that's what we're going to call it today. Again, have a great rest of your Thanksgiving. Much love to all of you. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Hopefully, these games, especially these 3 games here, are all going to be shootouts. It's a very highly scoring implicated week here. So we're hoping for a lot of magic. Speaking of magic, Magic Lizard Man 3 sends in a question. Says, Chase Brown or Ibuka, please play Chase Brown, brother. Got to play Chase Brown there. He's been far too consistent as of late. Got to go in that direction. Is Michael Wilson still startable with Marvin coming back potentially? Yes, he's still startable. In the top 24 capacity, in fact. Jim says Mooney, Diggs, Wanda Robinson, last flex spot. I would probably roll... As of right now, in a full PPR, between those available options, I have Stephon Diggs higher than Wanda Robinson. So that's probably the direction I go with. Pray we hit 100K mark. Honestly, it doesn't make a difference. Like, ultimately, we're going to get there eventually. I'm not, like, putting too much into it. I've stopped caring about numbers a while ago. I mean, obviously, it would be a great feat to accomplish. Don't get me wrong. It would be incredible. I'd love to see it. I've put in a lot of hours, so it would definitely validate a lot of it. But ultimately, whether it's 98, whatever, or 100, it doesn't make a difference at the end of my days. I'm happy regardless because of, I love what I do. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. We continue on with a question from Shahir, who says, no questions. Happy Turkey Day, brother. Thank you very much, brother. Alrighty. Emily says, Michael Wilson or Ertz or Hampton. I'm just going to stick with Michael Wilson there until we get further notice on the Marvin Harrison situation and the Hampton healthy situation. And then at that point, we'll figure it out. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. That's what we're going to call it today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cue the music. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon live streaming again. Do not forget there's a football game tomorrow between the Eagles and the Bears. I'll be live streaming here starting at 10 a.m. PST, 2 hours prior to the game starting. So again, and then I'll also be back on Saturday afternoon and then Sunday morning once again. So the next couple days, no videos, but just live streams. So again, hopefully we'll see you there. Otherwise, you guys can, of course, check out the Patreon, get those rankings, and, of course, ask me any and all questions. Or, of course, sign up via the Betr sign up and get, of course, a free $10, the potential free picks, and additionally, my rankings every Sunday if you follow the instructions down in the description. That'll be it for me. I appreciate y'all. We're cueing the music. Happy Thanksgiving. Love y'all, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.